Yo, what's up? I'm KallaTheYapper, and I'm back with another reaction. Today, I want to check out this video. Now, this is a video that I was sent, and was sent to by someone on my Discord. Wait, actually, I think I may have found this video first, then it was sent to me on Discord. I think that may have been, but like, I want to talk about this video right here. Because of the fact that, one, this video is came out 3 days ago before version 6.7 drops, and overall before the month before Snezhnaya comes out. So the release of this video is kind of, how can I say this? I'm a little skeptical of this video being released here, knowing the doom posting that's going on about Genshin Impact yet again right before we go to a new region. So there's that. Another thing too, obviously I'm going to be fair and charitable in my reaction to this video, so I want to make that clear. Another thing too, as you can see from the screen, yeah, I watched about 18, almost 19 minutes of this video in the latter end of my shift today, right? So I got home probably about 7:40, and I'm doing this reaction at like 8:20. So there's that. Another thing too that I want to say, this content creator is a whole new content creator. There's no other video on this person's channel. I'm going to prove it before we continue forward. Just to, further illustrate this point, already, you see the sub count right now? She just made this channel. Already 819 subs. She already got close to 1,000 subs because of this video. I'm gonna say this right now. If the next video that comes from this channel is, I picked up Withering Waves is the best gacha game. Oh, I'm so glad to be playing this game over Genshin Impact, this, that, and the third. If I'm gonna say this right now, bro. If I see a video like that come out of this channel next, it's going to prove again that posting videos like this gets you views and gets you subs, and is a monetary gain for a small content creator who just made a channel on YouTube. We done seen this time and time again. So I'm gonna say that right now before the next video that comes out of this channel, if it drops, if it's anything related to Withering Waves, shoot, if it's anything related to any other gacha game in general, well, best believe it's gonna prove my point. So there's that. But let's get back to the video, because I will say this, to be a little more nuanced. She did okay, let's say this, not the Columbina section. I'm gonna say this right now. The whole Columbina section of her video, by far the weakest shit of argumentation about Columbina's character. It's by far the weakest shit. I'm saying that right now. But everything she said related to Natlan, there's some truth to that. I won't even deny that. However, before we even got to the Natlan point, there's some things she said here that I'm going to, touch on, because either she does not know about it, or she blatantly did not, decide to write it into her script for the video. So let's go ahead and get this reaction started. I know I've been yapping for 3 minutes, but let's go ahead and get this shit started. Everything's good. Let's go.
What other characters say about her.
Oh, hold up. Rewind. I could have sworn I rewinded already.
Before we begin, please be aware that this video contains very heavy spoilers for Genshin Impact up to version 6.4, also known as Luna 5, the current game version as of recording. So if you clicked on this video and haven't played up through these quests yet, and you are still interested in doing so, please watch this at your own risk.
So, she's telling us when she was writing the script for this video. So, the next couple things she's about to say out of her mouth, you're going to look at it sideways and be like, wait a minute, something not right here. So let's proceed.
Also, I would like to say that while I play Genshin frequently, I'm certainly not a lore expert. It's also worth pointing out that Genshin lore only gets more confusing and convoluted as time goes on, so that might factor in as well. I might get stuff wrong. You can feel free to correct me about any.
The whole thing with Columbina, the Columbina section of her video, is blatant examples of her getting shit wrong and taking the hearsay of characters who do not know Columbina personally as factual information. So let's go ahead and make that clear now before we get there. But I'm going to save the rest I got to say about Columbina when we get there.
Anything in the comments, but I will do my best. Let me just start by saying that Genshin Impact is one of my favorite games. I know that there's a lot to be said about Genshin and that Genshin fans are kind of a meme. There's a lot of valid critiques to be thrown Genshin's way. For example,
that's true. There's a lot of valid things to be said about Genshin in terms of criticism. Case in point, my Natlan video that I made a year ago about my thoughts on why Natlan dropped the ball for so many. A lot of people really agreed with this video. And they had their own personal thoughts and opinions to say in the comment section below as well, if you go check this out. Lengthy discussions. Anyway.
For example, like many gacha games, they use a very predatory business model, and Hoyoverse makes millions of dollars off of FOMO and by fostering people's gambling addictions. And I would argue Genshin is actually worse than a lot of other Hoyo games too, because it's not as generous. From my understanding, other games from this company have made up for a lot of Genshin's greed by giving away more free characters and by...
Let's go ahead and clear this first point right now, because this point doesn't really hold weight. Now, hold on. Let's read the screen right quick. Let's read the screen. Because I knew what the fuck she was getting at with this. But anyway, let's read this. Free 5-stars in Genshin since launch 2020. Free standard 5-star once a year since 2024. It's been 2024, 2025, 2026. Boom. So we've had free 5 stars since 2020. Free standard 5 stars. Oh my goodness. So what she's saying right here is correct with this chart that she wrote, because she made it specific, right? But something that's not being mentioned here, or not being shown rather, is the new thing that they've been doing since the start of version 6, which is let me see if I can pull this up. I'm going to have to leave my Natlan video to go back to my channel as a whole. And I got to go back to one of my live streams for Genshin Impact. I got to scroll back a couple ways back. Was it Lohan Story Quest? No. It was way before Lohan Story Quest. I think it was the Phantasmal Pals event from like 3 weeks ago. Or maybe was it here? I'm trying to remember, when did I have this discussion about version 6.6? Because this was... Oh, this was before 6.6. Okay, hold up. Yeah, I think it may have been Linnea's Story Quest where I started it off talking about this. Hold up. Let me see if it's here. I hope it's over here. Okay, it's taking its time to load, but is what it is. Okay, so it's not here. So it has to be in the Phantasmal Pals event then. It has been then. Because I want to touch on the free 5-star characters that people are able to get, both limited and standard, that we've been getting for like the last couple months, honestly. Which has been objectively a good thing. But conveniently, it's not being mentioned here. Yeah, here we go. I think this is what it was right here when I talked about it. Excuse me, hold up. I just do feel like that this aspect of the conversation is kind of missing. Anyway, let me read. Excuse my munching. I was fucking eating candy. Ever since Natlan till now. Let me see if it's gonna pop up on the screen. Crystallized character. Right? So it's like, I don't believe this idea that free-to-play players like are gonna miss out entirely on these new characters, knowing that without a shadow of a doubt, some of them have either hoarded their pulls. Not some of them. I would argue a good portion of them who have. And then boom, you can use that. Sorry, I'm trying that on the rerun or on the next limited 5-star character banner. But at the same time, something else that is I noticed isn't being mentioned in this conversation is where's this thing? All right, here we go. Right here. This This has been around for almost a year now, because we're already going to Snezhnaya in like the next version update, literally. So it's been an entire year of this. To temper thyself and journey further. This has been in the game for the last year. Actually, let me double check just to be sure. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. To temper thyself and journey further. Let's see. When was this implemented? It is. Okay. This right here, to temper thyself and journey forward, has been in the game since September 10th, 2025, during version Lunar 1 update. It's been in there for about almost a fucking year. No, this is not right. Version Lunar 1. How many months has it been since version 1? Hold on. Let me see. Let me search it up. Genshin Impact version 6.0 release. September 10th. September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So it's been about 9 months. We're approaching a year. We're approaching a full year of this being in the game. This right here gives old and new players free 5-star constellations for both standard and limited 5 stars. Now, to preface, is not every limited 5-star, but a good handful of them, especially the ones that are getting buffed, are in this selection to select whatever 5-star character you want. A handful of them are characters that have been buffed with the new buffs, or so on, right? People who've had Hu Tao on their account now have a C2 Hu Tao, if not a full-blown C6 Hu Tao. Right? So, knowing that this has been in the game for like the last couple months, it kind of disproves this, that Genshin doesn't give out as many free 5 stars, knowing players are getting free 5-star constellations just by, logging in every day and completing your dailies just to get this after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And it keeps recycling over and over. And now they've added another feature that appears on this side of the screen in version 6.7, where you can complete this and still get extra rewards on top of that. So there's that. And then something else I'm about to mention here in this live stream, let me play a little more, is this feature right here. This feature has been in the game. This feature right here. You see this whole exploration feature and get extra rewards from it. This feature has been in the game since version 5.0. This feature has been in the game for 2 years at this point. At least a year and some change. Where you get bonus rewards from exploring a location all the way up to, like, let's say level 80% exploration of the new area. And it lasts for 3 months worth of time. So not only are you getting primos from exploring the area to its fullness, but also getting bonus primos from maxing it out to the fullness of at least 80% worth of exploration. You get extra rewards. You get this 400 plus the 200 that you get from this as well. Hold on, let me click. Did I click on this? Hopefully I clicked on this right here. If y'all are looking at the screen right now, ever since Natlan till now, they have constantly done this thing where they are. Yeah, here we go. Okay, hold up. No, I was wrong. It's 400. This is the amount you get. 100, 100, 100, 100. So this full blown 400 extra primos plus the primos that you would get from exploring your entire area to 80%. So this is extra shit topping on top of that, right? So I just wanted to mention that because that wasn't being mentioned here. Now, these free 5-star characters, playable characters that are usable, absolutely valid.
and by making it easier to obtain materials to
for this point. Hold up, let me see. Each region, each 2 days of the week plus a day. Okay. For this point here, this is valid. However, I think it is worth mentioning that they did implement a feature that every time a new 5-star character is on the banner, or if it's a rerun 5-star character on the banner, the domains become available the entire week, if not the entire, for the first 2 weeks. The domains for you to like go and like collect the material needed for your playable characters, it's available for the entire week. That's something they have been doing. So there's that needs to be mentioned, but obviously it's not being mentioned here for whatever reason. But it is what it is. Now this is a valid thing to complain about though. To be like, man, why do we have to wait? Why can't we only dive into it for the entire week? Because usually that's how much time that it usually takes to build one character. Honest to God, especially if you're running through them fucking domains to get, let's say, the perfect artifact set or the perfect artifact stats for your character that you're building. Absolutely, it probably take you an entire week to do that. Which I need to mention this as well. When Mavwika came out, I found out that people could not finish building Mavwika until an entire month later, by the way. So knowing that they implemented this feature to reduce the time needed to build a character so you can build the character more quicker is objectively a good thing. Now, would it be better just to have the domains open all the time? Absolutely.
Level them up. Meanwhile, Genshin refuses to adapt even after over 5 years of updates. The resin cap is still only at 200 with no...
Still only at 200, but it was only recently pushed to 200 within recent time. What was it? Back in Fontaine, they pushed it up to 200? I'm pretty sure. That was about 2 years ago at this point. But originally, the resin cap was much lower, right? It was like, what, 120? Then they pushed it to 140. Then it went to 160. Then it went to 200. Right? Someone could correct me if I'm wrong about that timeline. But go ahead in the comment section below. But, yeah, this does still suck knowing that it's only at 200.
No resin overflow system, and the weapon and talent ascension materials are still only available for a few days each week, which is an outdated system that serves absolutely no purpose. But, despite all of those flaws, Genshin kind of stole my heart in the beginning. I had never played a game like this before, meaning a gacha game. I didn't know how the pity system worked. I did a 10 pull whenever I had fates, and I didn't save them at all because I wasn't keeping up with any upcoming banners or anything. And I would spend my Primo Gems equally on both intertwined and acquaint fates because that seemed like the financially responsible thing.
I didn't do that. At least I didn't, put my primos into these. Like I would wait until I get copies of characters and then use that currency in the store to get more of these. All my primos went to this. But actually saying here right now, this is valid because like when a lot of people started playing Genshin Impact, especially since it was their first gacha game, no one understood how this shit worked. Not even me. I did not understand how these fucking character banners work until we got Eula's banner, which was like right before Inazuma came out. So I'm with her there, at least with the whole not understanding how this shit worked at the beginning.
Thing to do. I shudder to think about it even now. But when I first started back in October of 2020 during Klee's first ever banner, none of that mattered because Genshin was pretty magical early on. Not only was it special because back then you really didn't have to worry about power creep, you could pretty much build any character you wanted if you liked them. But there was this feeling of newness that came with starting out in 1.0. This open world was laid out before you with two beautifully designed nations. The music was, and still is, so gorgeous and immersive. Playing with headphones and just listening to the soundtrack while running around with your favorite characters was so lovely. There were little puzzles to solve, and
I can tell she completed Millie Asher Wonderland because this dude got this wisp shit going on right now and it's trailing behind him. That's from Millie Asher Wonderland, I can bet. Someone correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure that's from Milliastra Wonderland. That's that fucking accessory.
Well, running around with your favorite characters was so lovely. There were little puzzles to solve and stories to tell, all backdropped by a beautiful landscape. The story told by the Archon quests was relatively simple, but the characters were interesting and so lovable that they gave the quests life in their own way. And then there were events like the first Lantern Rite and the first Wind Bloom. Don't get me wrong, I think there have been some really good Lantern Rites in recent years. The one featuring Gaming comes to mind, but I really don't think that the
Personally, I think Zubai's is better.
sheer innocent joy that came with these events early on will ever be matched in the future. And plus, I think that Genshin has kind of forgotten about Windbloom. But like, the cutscenes were so beautiful, getting to see what all of these characters in Liyue and Mondstadt were up to during these times of year. I mean, that cutscene of all the characters walking around Mondstadt together spawned so much shipping, and I was absolutely there for it, just like everybody else was. Following this, we had Inazuma.
I'm not about to get into that conversation, especially after what I saw my boy Zom go through with people sending him death threats because they didn't like what he had to say about, you know, them forcing, not even forcing, but how they engaged with anything related to heterosexuality in comparison to their gay ships. I ain't about to even get into all that because that's a whole nother can of worms.
Sumeru, and Fontaine, again, all beautiful nations with so much potential for exploration. They encourage you to look in every nook and cranny. There's so much lore to be found that you might never see it all unless you peruse the Genshin Wiki. One of my favorite examples of all of the records and notes you can find are about Ildodore, and they're scattered throughout Sumeru. Just discovering how immensely evil he was made me so excited to see what they would do with a villain like that in this story. And we will get to that. But
he made experiments so trash, even his gang clowned on them. I mean, he was a bastard, so.
But even if the story occasionally got dull, and I know a lot of people struggled with Inazuma, believe me, I have problems with it too.
Yeah, a lot of people have problems with Inazuma, and it's valid complaints. Right, it's very valid complaints about Inazuma. Inazuma's story was rushed, but I think we need to remember that around the same time as Inazuma's story was being pumped out, the CCP, which is the Chinese Communist Party of China, literally pumped out a set of rules that they wanted game companies or just any piece of media to follow, which is you're not allowed to depict certain things in it. Actually, let me see if I can search up this list. I want to see if I can search up this list. CCCP. What's got it? Media rules for video games. Let's see if I can search it up. Okay. Here it is. I think this is it. Yeah. This came out back during the time of Inazuma. Or when we were going to Inazuma. Oh, look at that. That's September 21st. So yeah, we were in Inazuma at this time. So when Inazuma came out, this also was out. And it explained, and this just blatantly explained why it is that the story for Inazuma was not received well and was not the best because they were speed rushing through it. You can tell that they had to, probably cut some things out that was necessary for the story, but had to cut it out thanks to these regulations. Games must not distort the historical facts of modern history or imperial China or smear the image of the Chinese state and army. Morals and ethics. Content that promotes fascism, glorifies violence or crime, or features ambiguous moral choices, allowing players to choose to be purely evil, is heavily penalized. Supernatural and religion. Any depiction of the supernatural, ghosts, zombies, or unapproved religious activities is strictly banned. Visual restrictions. Any violence or gore, including the presence of blood or any color, skulls, or corpses, must be removed. Games must not promote effeminate males, aka femboys, or LGBT plus relationships. character genders and appearances must be immediately distinguishable. Minors and curfews, minor playtime, real name verification, all that other bullshit. Publication regulations. Monetization. I mean, blah 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 blah. But yeah, this was a thing when Genshin came out. This was released around the same time Genshin came out. Inazuma came out, right? So you could somewhat extrapolate from some of these things for why it is they wouldn't allow certain depictions in their games. I think one of the depictions that was not allowed, which is the idea of like the people rising up and trying to have a revolution against the government, which essentially what happened in Inazuma's story. Right? So clearly they didn't fuck with that because, you know, Chinese Communist Party, the idea of people, you know, revolting against the Chinese Communist Party is a no-no because they're dictators. Anyway, back to the video.
I know I could always count on seeing a character I liked. When Inazuma was boring me to death in the middle, or when it was busy underdeveloping Raiden A, I could at least maybe see Kazuha sometimes, who is still one of my favorite characters in the game to this day. A gacha game relies on its characters like almost no other type of game does. If you want people to pull for them, they have to appeal. And most of them did. They had beautiful designs and interesting personalities that sealed the deal. So yes, Genshin is one of my favorite games. But I'm also its biggest hater. And I know what you're gonna say. You're just nostalgic. That's the only reason you think it was better back then.
I'm gonna say this right now. Before she even gets into her Natlan points, I agree with a good amount of her Natlan points. Because again, I made a video talking about my problems with Natlan. Or I talked about my personal problems with Natlan and the problems players had with Natlan as well. So let me go ahead and correct that. I gotta scroll back. Actually, no, I don't. I just gonna click my history button. Hold up. I want to pull that video back up again because I want to bring up a point that I mentioned in my own video. Because she mentions it in hers as well. Let me click on that. I bet the video is still going to play regardless of the fact that I paused it just now. It's still going to play it anyway. Oh, it's not? Appreciate you. Anyway, let's get back to the video.
But I have proof. I mean, why else would I make a whole video essay on an unestablished YouTube channel if I didn't have proof? So, was Genshin all...
Well, one could argue that you're making this video for the sake of getting views and subscribers and, you know, monetary gain. One can make that argument for why you posted this video now, conveniently right before, you know, we go to Snezhnaya, which is a month from now.
Ways this weird and bad? No, it wasn't. And let me tell you why. So, when we talk about bad Genshin, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, Natlan. In case you're unfamiliar, Genshin bases its nations on real-world culture.
She's about to give a take here. She's about to give a take here related to sort of quote-unquote characters being whitewashed. And I'm going to have a absolute disagreement with it. So let's continue.
Cultures, in terms of visual inspiration, the names of the characters, and the nation's customs. Mondstadt is based largely on Germany, Liyue on China, Inazuma on Japan, and so on. Natlan, similarly to Sumeru, is based on multiple real-world cultures, including Mesoamerican societies, Polynesian cultures, and the cultures of African peoples. It's hard to pin down what they were thinking when they picked out all of these places, each so different to represent just one nation in the game. I'm certainly not the person to listen to on if this is bad representation, but I will say I do find it odd that the regions based on parts of the world where historically many black and brown people have lived are a mishmash of many different cultures, and that the characters are whitewashed versions of these people.
Already, this is where my disagreement begins. So she's saying these are whitewashed versions of these people. No, they're not whitewashed. These are characters that were inspired by these cultures. And thus they were designed as such. They were not whitewashed. They didn't just, you know, copy paste another character, the characters from, or well, actually, now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure I found out that this depiction of Auroron in this picture is not even true to their actual depiction. This is a fan art type depiction of Auroron or Loron. Because if you actually search up the actual depiction of him, he is not depicted as a man with black skin. This is not how this, I'm pretty sure, deity is depicted. Actually, let me search this up right now. What is O-L-O, Ron. Okay, let me see if I can search this up right now. L-O, Ron. Search. Let's go to images. See, a lot of this is fan. Look at this. This image right here is from a Smite. This depiction of Auroron is from Smite wiki fandom. This is not the true depiction of this entity or of this god. These are fan art depictions that you see here. None of these are the real depictions of this entity. This right here, I'm pretty sure, is the actual depiction. This is the actual sculpture, right? But people are taking fan designs of Auroron from, let's say, from another video game and being like, oh, because they were depicted this way in this video game, that means they should have been depicted in this way in this video game. Despite the fact this depiction, not even the truest depiction of this Auroron deity, because they don't even look the same. Look how fantastical this looks compared to this real life sculpture. Night and day difference, my guy. Shoot, I'm not even sure if this is even the actual sculpture, but I'm pretty sure this is the actual sculpture. I'm seeing another image all on my right side that shows the same headpiece. But nonetheless, you see what I'm saying, right? This is not even the real thing, but yet people compared this Smite character design to this one and it's like, oh, look how they did them. But instead of using the actual fucking statue where the inspiration of Auroron more than likely came from, or just his name came from, honestly, because you can give fictional characters names that don't match their skin color, because that's something that people do all the time. You can imagine how many times someone creates a black fictional character in anime and then probably gives them a Japanese name, right? Or takes on a name that's very, like, let's say, important in Japanese history. Let's say Musashi Miyamoto. Someone can create a black character and give the character the last name of Musashi Miyamoto, right? And that's perfectly fine and valid to do. Not because, oh, this is the exception because, it's a black person making the character, but purely because you have the right to do that for your own fictional character, for your fictional fantasy game that takes slight inspiration from real life, not absolute one-to-one copy and pasting. Right? So that's why I don't agree with this whole complaint about Auroron or any of the Natlan characters being whitewashed. I just don't. And then take consideration this as well. People seem to not understand that all Africans are not brown skinned. There are Africans that exist that have white skin. Fair-skinned Africans. It's a real thing. So, taking this in consideration to Auroron's character design, knowing that there are white-skinned Africans that exist in real life, what is the issue with Auroron's character design? The answer is fucking nothing. And this is coming from a Negro myself, by the way. Anyway, I'm not African, I'm a black American. But just a simple Google search tells me everything I need to know.
It just gives me pause, to say the least. For many other reasons, too, Natlan was understandably poorly received by fans, at least in the United States. I'm not really sure how other parts of the world reacted.
I'll explain to you the reason why there was such a reaction, in particular for the whole skin color thing, is because we live in a culture right here in America where, for the longest time, even in 2024, when did Natlan come out? 2025, right? No. Natlan came out in 2024, I'm pretty sure. Right? we were in high levels of political correctness and this ultra aggressive need to have representation of everything everywhere. So people took their Western politics and applied it to this game, and it was like, why does this game not show all these brown skinned characters? Despite the fact, out of all the gacha games that exist right now, these mainstream gacha games, Genshin Impact is the only one with characters that actually have melanated skin tone, if not brown skin blatantly. I don't know how people don't realize that, because like if you compare it to Star Rail, compare it to Zenless, compare it to WoW, compare it to Art Knights, Genshin Impact has more brown skin characters in it by default. About almost 10 characters of brown skin or melanated skin. Just to let y'all know that. So that's the reason why there was such a negative jump on Natlan, because of the character designs, and because in particular them having fair skin. But these people also seem to forget that people of fair skin also live in these places that have, you know, people of brown skin as well. They're not just brown skin all the way. There are people who are fair skinned there too. Like Latin America, people think Latin American and think every last one of them is brown skinned. No, a lot of them is a mix between brown skin and fair skin. The same thing with the Middle East. People think that everyone in the Middle East is brown skinned. No, you have fair skin and brown skin. It's a mixture of both.
Acted to it. It's easy to see why though, because it's the same reasons that I didn't like Natlan. The landscapes are fine, but aesthetically, a lot of Natlan doesn't mesh well with existing aesthetics of the game. And one of the major problems people had was the characters' access to modern technology and concepts like motorcycles, flying guns, rollerblades, and DJ sets. I'm not even necessarily...
I'm going to agree with her on the DJ set, especially because she's looking at Shalonen's DJ set. But she seems to forget, and probably doesn't know this, but the moment you step into Natlan, you literally see a DJ set seemingly made of pure rock in front of a stage where they dancing, like probably even skateboard on, for all I know. Right? It's literally one of the first things you see when the moment you step into the Children of the Echoes territory.
Really mad at the idea of having more modern tech in Natlan, but the problems lie more in the execution. First, Natlan made a point to set up an aesthetic style for Natlanese technology, like that within the ancient Sacred Mountain area, but then they only used it in that area. If Mauika's motorcycle or Shilonen's DJ set looked anything like this, and not like sleek, modern variations of those objects, maybe they wouldn't have felt so out of place.
I agree with this. I made a point about this even in my own video. Why Natlan failed. I talked about character designs. When it came down to character designs, I didn't talk about the skin color thing because that was unnecessary. But I did talk about the other aspect of it. Land design. Technology. Before we go to technology, let me play my character design section. Let me play this section. Right? So you can get an understanding of what my thought process was. Character designs. I'll say this right now. I personally don't have an issue with any of the character designs from Natlan. However, I can see why others did and either quit the game because of it or felt that Genshin had lost the magical charm that came with the character designs. Basically, Genshin's characters from each and every region before Natlan had this fantastical feel to them, which I can agree with. Let's look at some examples of these fantastical looking characters. From Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, Sumeru, and Fontaine. Each character from previous regions has an element of similarity to them, and it is extremely noticeable. In comparison, Natlan characters don't have a concrete similarity between them, from Mulani to Aoife. Some of them dress in modern styled clothing. Others dress in traditional tribal clothing. Or, tribal clothing was the best description I could give them. Modern styled clothing. Others dress in traditional tribal clothing. Or they have a mixture of both. I believe with certainty that the lack of core similarity between Natlan character designs had an impact on players not feeling Natlan's vibe. I'd argue that if Natlan characters were designed with more, or just with scars, like Razor, Bennett, Aoife, and Risley, or better yet, even dressed in similar fashion to Citlali, Razor, Ian-san, and Bennett, I do think that players would have enjoyed the Natlan characters even more if those elements were used more so, right? I'll give my opinion on other aspects related to this point. I personally don't have a hate boner for the Natlan designs, as I stated before, for the most part. However, there are things worth criticizing, like Mob Week's outfit. The zipper is already crazy enough as it is. Here's another point. Why didn't they just use the outfit that she wore 500 years ago? I would have loved to see Mob Weeka in her old outfit that had a more tribal feel to it compared to her current one. Also, I don't like the fact that I'm gonna say this too, bro. There was even a limited time event that we had not too long ago, where we went back to Mondstadt, or at least Dragonspine, and we had characters or playable characters from both Natlan and like other regions come and like intermingle with each other over their love for this particular book or comic that came out of Natlan, right? That talked about the hero that Verissa, the playable character Verissa, is inspired by, and why she, created that mask for, right? We find out, or rather, they show us literally. They literally showed us another design idea that they had for Mavwika, but chose not to go with it. Actually, they showed it to us in Mavwika's teaser trailer. Actually, let me see if I can pull this up. Let me see if I can pull up Genshin Impact Mavwika teaser. Hold up. This is Genshin Come the fuck on. Straighten the fuck out, my guy. Wait, why am I back at my video? I didn't click this. Hold up. Sorry, my laptop acting a fool and it's pissing me off right now. Like, ain't nobody told you to do that shit. Okay. Genshin Impact Mavwika. Let me keep Mavwika teaser. Let's go to teaser. Not this one. This one right here. This is it. Because they showed us another design that belongs to Mavwika that she wore 500 years ago, but actively chose not to have this be her base design. Because if you look at all the other Natlan characters in this animated short, look how they're dressed, right? Compared to what Mavwika is wearing now in the current modern day, it's just like, why is she wearing the skin tight outfit? Because it felt like they just wanted Mavwika to stand out among all the other playable characters from Natlan. But actually, I don't need to play the fucking music. You just need to see the character design. Okay. So you got a bit of a glimpse of the fit. Let's see. Wait for the camera angle to get back. Would you see what she got going on right now? At least for her, or at least hold on. We gotta wait. There's a better scene. There's a better angle coming later. Hold on. Okay, here we go. This is Mavwika's outfit. This is the outfit she wore 500 years ago, before the current modern day. Do you see the design of the outfit? It's still got this skin tight feel to it, but at the same time, the vibe of the aesthetic rather of the design feels like a Natlan character design. Because if you look at everybody else, the other NPCs, and if you look at her little sister and what she was wearing just now before the camera changed to Mavwika, you can see the type of style going on. And then boom, you see that same style here in this character design. They literally gave her a character design that feels like a Natlan character design. Right? That feels like it fit the aesthetic of it, but they chose not to make this her base outfit. Instead, they went with the biker fit. Again, I don't know who was on the team when making Natlan, in particular designing Mavwika as a character. I do not know who in particular was on the team who was responsible for this character design for Mavwika. But they most definitely, I can agree with, they dropped the ball on Mavwika, knowing damn well that they gave her this outfit. They designed her with this outfit. They could have easily given this outfit as her baseline outfit, but they chose not to. If they gave this as her baseline outfit and she still had the bike, I wouldn't care too much, because at least she would still look like a Natlan character who got her hands on some ancient dragon technology. Granted, personally, I would have preferred that her bike actually transformed into a dragon rather than somewhat resemble one as she's driving around, because that's what it does. I would have preferred it to actually be like a flying mechanical dragon type minion that she rides around on, or like how Aoife hangs on to Kakuku, right? I would have liked her to have something similar, but she either rides on top of the dragon, or the dragon carries her around on her back, carries her around by, you know, grabbing her from the back and letting her and flying around with her. I would have preferred that rather than the actual bike. And if they were gonna still do the bike thing, transform that shit into a mechanical dragon instead that she rides around on. That would have been better. Anyway, back to the video.
And another problem with the tech is that no one else in Natlan, other than the playable characters, use it at all. You don't see any other Natlanese people rollerblading or driving vehicles.
That's not technically true. The reason I say this is because if you look at a lot of the enemy NPCs in Natlan, a lot of them literally drive around or use their weapons to, or act as if the weapon is a vehicle. Sometimes they'll be skirting around, skating across the ground, slipping, sliding, or they'll be like, they have their own unique firearm that's not absolutely in the resemblance of a gun, but you could argue it's the first iteration of a gun, aka a slingshot. They take explosive fire rounds and they have a long slingshot that they set up. It transforms from a polearm weapon into a slingshot, and they use it to shoot at the enemy, shoot at us, right? So they have their firearms or some akin to like a vehicle type technology to use to move about or move around, but it's just not in the one-to-one in terms of the design of it, I'd argue.
They probably wouldn't feel so out of place if other people in the 6 tribes had access to this stuff.
Again, the DJ thing, we literally see that at the start of Natlan when we walk in. Actually, let me see if I can pull that up. I want to see if I can pull that up. I'd have to go back to my channel. And boy, oh boy, I'd have to go all the way back to when I first started playing Natlan. So I need to actually do this. KallaTheYapper Natlan 5.0. Search. Here we go. This was Act 2, Part 1. Act 1, Part 1. This is a lengthy ass stream. But anyway, I'm going to show this, the DJ set thing. We saw someone outside. We see the DJ set multiple times outside of the Children of Echo's location. We see it multiple times, actually. Here it is, right here. Let's see. I want that camera to swap. Well, I think this may have been a world quest I started. Okay, here you go. That's the stadium over there. That's the performance stage over there. Hopefully the camera switches to there. Oh, they're talking about the art style of Natlan in terms of like the graffiti and shit like that they have. The wall drawings. They even talk about like the dancing and whatnot as well. Bro, is this shit going to turn over to that damn stadium? Okay, I may have missed the scene that showed the stadium first. No, I remember I walked around the stadium, actually, if I remember correctly. I walked around the stadium. Because I was really inspecting all the NPCs and like what they had as tools and shit around the area before I actually continue the story. Okay, hold up. So I see the stadium right there. So I didn't actually go walk up to the stadium. Okay, so I must have didn't walk up to the stadium until after the fact, when I started looking around. Okay, so yeah, I must have been just yapping right here. Ah, shit. I didn't follow her. No way I didn't go examine that stadium. I know I examined that fucking stadium. I know I did. I know I went over there and examined that stadium. I know I fucking did. This motherfucker a liar. Bro, I don't know what this was even for. Oh, this was when you first opened Natlan. Okay. Or at least when you first started unlocking shit and you go running around or whatever. Okay, so from what I'm saying, I didn't go examine that fucking stadium, unfortunately. But there is a DJ set on that stadium. Anyway.
Probably wouldn't feel so out of place if other people in the 6 tribes had access to this stuff. There is perhaps...
Also, we see music sets. In particular, the DJ set, without a shadow of a doubt, came from the children, from the, the tribe that settled near the water, the people of the springs. They got a whole music shack, or a shack there that they sell, like record players, speakers, guitars, and whatnot. So the technology exists there for such a device, in particular for the DJ set.
Perhaps no location in Natlan that is so out of place as the Easy Breeze Holiday Resort. I did love the lore that this location provided for Bennett, but everything else about it is so ass, dude. It genuinely feels like a different game to walk around this resort. There's a huge slide in the shape of a Kaholosaurus, a dark ride a la Disneyland, a field that looks like a fucking Wii Sports golf course, and like a music festival area with a dance-off stage.
She's saying this knowing that literally, she's saying this being shocked by it, but literally when we first stepped into Natlan, that was the first thing we saw. Again, the Children's of Echoes location. This in the background. This is a dance stage with a disco, not disco, but a DJ set back here. Granted, my big ass headed traveler is blocking everything, so I can't really see it. I wonder if I ran back over there later after traversing this. Did I go back? Or did I just keep pushing through the story? No, I just kept pushing through the story. But anyway, such a stage already existed. So seeing another stage akin to this is not surprising. This is just a bigger stage, illuminated with bigger lights.
I cannot stress enough how immersion breaking it is to explore this area. Have there been silly summer themed areas in the past? Yes, but none of them have ever had an aesthetic on par with this one. I mean, the golden apple...
That's fine, that's the point. They shouldn't look the same. Like, what? They never had an aesthetic on par with this? Yeah, no shit. Not every last summertime event that we've had did not have the same aesthetic look to it. Like what? That's like saying the Bottle Wonderland had the same aesthetic as this summertime event when it didn't. You see what I'm saying?
Apple Archipelago just looks like it was taken straight out of Mondstadt or Liyue in terms of design, while still looking very fantastical, with impossible landscapes that could...
I mean, yeah, because they're reusing assets, because during this limited time event, for this place, for this summertime event, it was focused on 4 characters. So naturally, they had these four characters and their personal life story be directly tied into how the different biomes in the area would look like, because it was based off those 4 characters. So yeah, that's why it looked like that.
That could only be created by a mage of incredible power like Alice. Unfortunately, the visual aspects aren't Natlan's only faults. I and many others also found the lore and quest of this region to be pretty lacking too. We'll start with the basics. Each nation in Teyvat has a divine ideal that is represented by the Archon. So far, we've been introduced to 6 ideals of 7: freedom, contracts, eternity, wisdom, justice, and war. Most of these, at least to me, represent a good idea of what a divine ideal should be, something that a god is supposed to uphold in their nation. Sometimes upholding the ideal leads to conflict in the region. For example, in her upholding of eternity, Raiden Shogun sealed her borders and stole the ability to use elemental magic from her people, all for the sake of keeping Inazuma the same for all time. At the same time, Raiden herself represents the concept of eternity. She locks herself away to practice hundreds of years of meditation and uses undying puppets of herself to exact her will on the people of her nation. It's honestly very upsetting the way that they rushed through her arc so much, because I think she would have made for such a compelling character.
Oh, to speak on this point, right? What she's saying is true, and the thing is, they actually did do this with the character, but it's not, how can I say this? It's more like the development of her character is what they handled really well, and it's not solely, connected to a second story quest, because we had about 2 limited time events that happened ever since, I say, Sumeru till now. We had about 2 limited time events that had happened where Raiden Shogun appeared in it, and she would mention how she didn't want to interrupt the fun for the people of Inazuma, especially considering about what had happened with the whole Vision Hunt decree and shutting down the nation and locking it down from people from leaving it nor coming into the nation. Or no, rather people leaving the nation, because people could still come in and no. Could people who were foreigners even leave the nation after they came in? I can't fucking remember. But yeah, there was that. I remember there's about 2 scenes dedicated to this. There's another scene that was the card event that we had right before we went to Fontaine, where Raiden Shogun was going to have a card battle with a random Inazuman citizen, right? But the citizen dropped out the moment he found out that his opponent was the Raiden Shogun. He feared for his life being in her presence and essentially beating her in a card game that he quit. Raiden Shogun, she comments on this. Actually, can I pull this up? I want to pull this up. Where was it? Genshin Impact version, what was it? 3.6 event? Let's search up 3.6 event. Hopefully, not 3.6. Was it 3.6? Okay, let's go to 3.7 then. Dual Masters. It was this. Where's the section where Raiden Shogun? That's the one I really like. It was really good. Hold up, let's see. Here it is, right here. Let me click it.
Perhaps she felt a little intimidated by me.
She's probably fine. Don't worry, she didn't leave because of you. We've split up like this in previous places we visited too. So, how do you like Genius Invocation TCG? Paimon bets you're enjoying watching the tournament matches.
Well, in fact, I myself am competing in the tournament.
Wait, really?
Why is that surprising? Playing cards is an ancient form of entertainment, and I was curious to see what card games are like in this day and age.
Mind you, this is after her character development, and the ripples effects of the character development. So let's keep watching. And by the way, people were like, Raiden Shogun doesn't get any consequences for what she did, but I disagree with that, considering this is the consequence here. It's about to happen right now. Watch.
Advanced all the way to the semifinals.
The semifinals? That's amazing! So when's your next match?
Unfortunately, the semifinals is where my journey ended. The reason being
that she lost to me.
And when I say lost, that doesn't begin to do it justice. It was quite a humiliating defeat. I'll pretend I didn't hear that.
I only lost because I was duped by her little tricks.
What's wrong with my little tricks? Trickery within the scope of the rules is better known as ingenuity. It's not my fault that some people spend all their time cooped up in Tenshukaku and never have the chance to hone their skills.
What a unique friendship.
You're right, though. I should make an effort to get out more. Many things have changed now that Inazuma is at peace. However, it seems that some people continue to fear the divine light, just as before. In some of my tournament matches, I could see my opponent's hands shaking, hesitant to play their cards. Now that I think about it, perhaps they were scared of what would happen if they defeated me.
Oh, dear, dear. Other players lose their games and throw a tantrum. You win yours, and yet you still find a reason to mope about it. I invited you out for some simple fun and games. Oh, I should have known you'd be like this.
Now, someone could argue that fucking Yaimiko's response is kind of a dickheadish, but at the same time, people saying that Raiden Shogun didn't get any consequences for what had happened or for her actions, this right here is the consequence. The people of her nation, there are people who still, there are people who were absolutely devoted and believed in her and believed that what she was doing was, of course, the right thing because she is their god, and so they follow what she says, absolutely, and they believed it to be the right thing. But however, we do know that there were other people who did not believe that she was doing the right thing for taking people's ambitions and whatnot. And this right here, as she just explained, this is the consequence of action. This is essentially we could argue, not even we could argue, we can blatantly say is her punishment for what she did. She has people in her nation, thanks to her own actions, who are still terrified of her. They're still terrified of her. The fact that there's even people still terrified of her, even to this day, after everything that happened, shows that no, she didn't just get off scot-free. Not everything is all willy-nilly. Like, no. There are people who still fear her, and people who are unsafe, honestly, around her. Even though they are her citizens that she must protect, because this is the nation of Inazuma, and this is her domain. Right? This is just the natural consequence of what happened. Unfortunately, since this shit is locked to a limited time event, many players will not know this nor see this. So they'll think, oh, she just got off scot-free, when in reality, she really didn't. The negative effect of what she did is still lingers, even till now. Anyway, back to it.
Character otherwise. Now think about Mawika in the same way, with regards to her divine ideal, which is war. How does she represent war? Well, she's fighting a war.
I will say this criticism about Mawika is valid. How does she represent war? It's so hard to tell how, especially when you look at other playable characters about how they represent war, especially the Pyro characters. Look no further than Bennett or Hu Tao, prime examples, right? Hu Tao's war that she has, it's against, I would argue, modernism. She is a woman who holds true to traditional values and traditional customs, right? And her personal war is with things that seek to change that or seek to remove those things, which is why she's against it entirely. All that modern stuff in relation to and removing tradition, she's not about it. And then look to Bennett. Bennett, his whole war that he has personally is literally against fate. If we're being for real, this dude has such crazy bad luck outside of Natlan, especially after what we found out in relation to Natlan. His bad luck is so crazy that he could have literally died, but he's continued to persist through everything with a smile on his face, not complaining about, man, why did this world do this to me? Why am I such a prisoner of my fate? He didn't have that mindset. His war was against fate, trying to like squash him at every turn. But he was still 10 toes. He still stood. He still walked with a smile on his face, being like, let's go on the next adventure, bro. I'm down for it, right? That was his personal war, right? What was Arlecchino's personal war? I gotta try to theorize what her personal war is. But you get the point. You'll see a continuous trend of that with every playable character that is a Pyro character, about what their theme of war is connected to, related to their personal life. I think I remember watching a video talking about it a while ago. But yeah, for Mavuika, it's kind of hard to pin down what exactly is her war against. What is her personal war against? Is it against fates? Is it against the abyss? Like, what is it exactly?
How does she represent war? Well, she's fighting a war against the abyss, like everybody else in Teyvat. Yeah, maybe they have it worse than other nations, but still, what happens when the war ends? Which it does at the end of the Archon quest. It's not like Mavuika is some battle-crazed maniac.
I ain't gonna lie, there are so many things about Mavuika that you could literally rewrite and her character becomes so much better. So many things. I have a lot to say about Mavuika as a character myself, about her writing. They really wanted her to be the most likable character, and they really did force that shit. Like, bro, I would have made Mavuika probably a really selfish person. Or better yet, I would have had it been that the Pyro Archon did not arrive yet, or didn't manifest, or I would have it be that Mavuika was going to become the new Pyro Archon entirely. I would have Mavuika be like a new-aged person born into the world, and she was someone who was like, yo, I see that the tribes are not, connected together on how we're going to deal with the abyss, and we've been having this problem for the last 500, if not 1,000 years, right? So I'm going to become the Pyro Archon. I'm going to get the tribes to come together so that we can defeat the abyss and quell it from Natlan. I promise you, if that was her story and that was the Archon quest that we were doing in Natlan, I promise you niggas would have loved that shit even more. They would have loved it greatly.
At most, she's just kind of thoughtless and reckless in her actions. Do you see how war doesn't really work as a divine ideal, and least of all with Mavuika as...
And I'll say this as well. Another thing that really corroded this whole war thing for Natlan, it was the fact that Natlan had this extreme sport shit going on, which is fine, but at the same time, it doesn't really match the whole war thing. And I think I may have mentioned it in my video, actually. When did I mention the war thing? I mentioned technology. Oh, I think it was here for the writing. Let me go here. I probably mentioned it more.
Now we've reached the final section, which is the most important in my opinion. As much as I enjoyed Natlan's story for what it was, I do agree with the criticisms that players had for it. For example, why didn't Natlan not have the same quality of writing as Sumeru and Fontaine had prior? Why does it feel like everyone is partying all the time when there's a supposed war going on against the abyss? Why did the writers make Mavuika damn near flawless and not have a personal struggle that was worth attaching to, like Nahida's lack of self-confidence in relation to her feeling that she wasn't worthy to be Sumeru's Archon, since the sages preferred Rukkhadevata, or Farina's personal pain that she was hiding that was a direct result of her keeping a secret so close to her chest that it brought emotional pain for her for 500 years, believing that if she told anyone that they'd die if she spoke, right? Another question, like, that's good. Why didn't the captain go against Mavuika's plan even harder? What was the point of saying that Mavuika would die, but instead killing off the captain who wasn't fleshed out enough to justify killing him?
Granted, I do know that was like a mistranslation in the dialogue. So it wasn't actually that she was going to die. It was actually something else. But like, again, mistranslation. I found out about that later on.
Who wasn't fleshed out enough to justify killing him. Things like that made players not enjoy Mavuika's character and Natlan's story even more so. The fact that Kachina seems to be the only character in the entirety of Natlan's Archon quest to actually be fleshed out is kind of crazy.
I was wrong about this because it's not just Kachina. It's Kachina and Auroron, honestly. I think it's between those two characters being the most fleshed out of every other playable character from Natlan. Now, actually, it's actually Kachina, Auroron, and Mulani, technically speaking. All the other heroes of the tribes didn't really get fleshed out in the main story. Right? But they did get fleshed out in the tribal quests. But even then, I think Kenich's tribal quest, I don't think it really did a lot for him, honestly. Shalonen's did a lot for her, in my opinion. Chaska's also did a lot for her. Now, in the case of Verissa came late to the party, even though she was there in the story, but she wasn't in, like, the forefront of where we were 24/7. She was there, she did exist, but she didn't come into the story until, like, after everything had, went down. Right? Having both good character motivation for why they want to defend their nation and development after completing her personal goals is pretty bad, not gonna lie. It's bad that it feels like she's the only one that is well written. It's even worse, or rather, it's even made worse when the limited time event that was for Hu Tao that came after the Archon quest, which had multiple parallels to Natlan's Archon quest, was better written both in character writing and story. I couldn't help but make comparisons between the limited time event story and the main story quest when I streamed it, and it felt as if whoever wrote Natlan's 5th act in particular wasn't the same individual to write Hu Tao's event story. I'll give a critique of Natlan's Archon quest myself. Why weren't any of the Abyss monsters, beside the new ones, present in Act 4, or rather the entire Archon quest? For example, the Abyss Lectors, Bishop, Rift Hounds, Breacher Primuses, Dark Serpent Knights, and Abyss Mages. Why are they not present in the story? Okay, I was wrong about the Rift Hounds, because Rift Hounds were blatantly there. I remember seeing them. Why didn't the heroes of Natlan's tribes have more impactful moments, right? In comparison, in the Amphorius 3.1 and 3.2 acts, you have the story take its time fleshing out their main characters since the start of the story. What's even crazier is that certain characters are being killed off, like Anaxa and Trian, or remain in a place that they can't leave from permanently, like Castris, and I'm certain that this will continue to be like this all the way to the end of Amphorius' story. As I look back on Natlan's Archon quest, a lot of the main cast didn't really face many consequences. It would have been great to have some of the heroes die as a result of giving their power from their ancient names to Mawiko so that she'd have the power needed to dispel the Abyss from the entirety of Natlan. Or the chosen heroes could have taken the place of each of the tribe's personal Wyub and become new Wyubs, especially considering the fact that the Wyubs have the ability to manipulate the elements and are the guardians of the Night Kingdom. Granted, they'll need to do some rewriting to achieve this. I'll even spit more spice on this meal. Why did the Abyss Order not play a role in Natlan's Archon quest, especially after how the last interlude quest left off with the Luma Fate being completed and Lumine being indecisive on how she wants to use it? Granted, in context now, this point right here is fucking stupid. But at the same time, my thought process in the moment was, especially at the end of that, we just had the end of this right here with the bedtime story. I had the thought process of that the Abyss Order was going to play a role in Natlan's Archon quest, with, being the very thing that's like leading the charge against Natlan's, so that they can get their hands on Natlan's ley lines. That was my thought process, so that then the Luma Fate could be used. That's what I thought, especially after we found out that the Luma Fate, they can't replace the ley lines, the already existing ley lines. They can only weave new ones, right? That's the only thing they can do. And now that I'm saying that, I have a very high suspicion of it being used again, now that Irminsul as the giant tree has been burned down and there's only like extensions of the ley lines left. So maybe there's going to be something that happens there as I think about it. But honestly, I think you get the point I'm making here. with this point, right? It would have been great if that played a role in Natlan's Arc Quest, personally. Now, for the lack of voice acting throughout, I'm not gonna mention the voice acting. That's you already know. You already get the deal. Anyway,
as it's represented.
And I'm gonna say this right now. Yes, I know. I'm an hour. I am a whole hour into a reaction, and I haven't even gotten halfway through this fucking video.
Also, it's a nation of war made up of 6 different factions, and yet there's absolutely no conflict between them. It really just doesn't make any sense.
That's true. I agree with this take.
This is why I personally always thought it would be cool if the Pyro Archon was a villain to her people. Maybe she makes them fight each other, gladiator style, for her own entertainment. And then maybe we would have a better rebellion storyline than Inazuma with an Archon that's completely irredeemable. Because we certainly know that the Cryo Archon is gonna get redeemed in some way if
I'm gonna say this right now. There has been nothing related to the Teresa that's like some irredeemable, that she's like some irredeemable piece of shit individual. So this take that she's having about the Teresa doesn't make sense to me at all. It doesn't even make sense in context, especially with the trailer that they recently just released and showed what her motivation is for why she's even doing what she's doing. And she's not even being presented as a villain, because the Cryo Archon has never been presented as this blatant villain. We just know her as the Archon that's collecting all the Gnosis for whatever fucking reason. And now we've potentially gotten what exactly the fucking reason is.
if she's ever going to become playable, we will.
Despite her war crimes, what war crimes did the Sarita commit? So the Sarita didn't commit any war crimes last time I checked, unless you're talking about the Fatui going around, like doing their job as the Fatui, being either playing the role of like diplomats or destabilizing nations for the sake of like the overarching goal of getting the Gnosis. I mean, you can count those as war crimes, but I don't know if I would pin that onto Sarita, considering the fact that the what is it called, Pyro is the one that runs the Harbingers. If anything, the entire Fatui as a whole.
We will also touch on that in a later section in more detail. Instead, in Mawika, we have an Archon who is a Mary Sue. Ironic when she's the only Archon who is actually a human and would likely have the most flaws out of any of them. The thing is, Mawika is very flawed. She is extremely irresponsible and brash, even when it will put the lives of her entire nation at stake. Her nation is at war with the Abyss, and she's like, well, best thing I can do for you guys now is go to sleep for 500 years and hope and pray that the heroes I need will appear to me when I need them. What? That is crazy of you! And yet the game tries to make me feel bad for her for doing this. The game, instead of pointing out how terrible and risky this plan is, just focuses on the fact that Mawika had to say goodbye to her family in order to put this plan into action. Dog, I do not care. The writing doesn't focus
If they presented it as if there was they did present it as if there was no other choice. Actually, so I'm incorrect for what I was about to say out of my mouth. But anyway, let her cook.
Into action. Dog, I do not care. The writing doesn't focus at all on what's important here. It just makes her out to be the perfect Archon who's good at everything and refuses to fail. There were no memorable parts of that quest for me, except for maybe the final battle. And it's not even like
I had a lot of memorable parts for this Archon quest, and particularly the entire Archon quest for Natlan. There was a lot of memorable parts for me personally.
the characters here can make up
in particular Act 4
for this nation's incredibly boring and stupid story. For me, all of them were so nothing. It boggles my mind that so many of y'all are shipping these MFs together when they barely have interesting relationships with each other at all. I feel like all of their personalities could be explained in one word. Mulaney is bubbly. Kinich is standoffish. Kachina is insecure. Veresa
was insecure.
She eats a lot. Oh, and Mawika. What can be...
If anything, you're describing archetypes for characters, but we do know that they do flesh out these characters. Not every last one of them, but a good handful of them.
He said that I haven't already touched on. She's good at everything. She's the perfect Archon, and even her reckless plan for saving her nation isn't questioned by anyone that matters or treated by the game as risky at all, even though it is. And in the end, she just defeats the Abyss with the power of friendship. It reminds me of that.
Sorry, I roll when I hear that, purely because it's it's really being sucked out of its context. Like, yes, they did present it in a way that felt like power of friendship, but like she was using the very thing that's been established in lore, which is elemental power, which is also directly tied to memories, to defeat and expel the Abyss from Natlan, because we know that elemental energy literally is the only thing that can combat against the Abyss.
That TikTok where they had the cutscene with all the heroes side by side with the clip from My Little Pony Equestria Girls. The writers go out of their way to make Mawika seem like the coolest person ever, when in reality she has like no personality. Like, can we talk about how her trailer was just this crazy?
I will say this, her character trailer was cringe to me. I'm sorry. The whole thing with the whole like the rock band shit, I did cringe at it. Especially considering, I'm sorry, Amphorius was going on. I think around the same time Natlan was. Actually, I need to search up when did Amphorius drop. I need to search up when Amphorius dropped. Okay. HSR version 3.0 release date January 15th. Now let's go to Genshin. Okay, so Natlan came first, then Amphorius followed up after. Because Natlan dropped, 5.0 dropped in August 28th of 2024. Amphorius dropped in January 15th of 2025. When Mawika's character trailer, this one came out, I cringed at it. I couldn't even look at it without thinking this little bit of this is fucking cringe. This is unnecessary. And then we had the GOAT himself, I'm sorry to say, the Finon trailer, which is by far probably the best trailer I've ever seen out of Hoyoverse. Literally. The GOAT. A whole year ago. 4.7 million. And I'm not gonna lie, I felt like the Amphorius story handled the whole, like, them dealing against this threat, this worldly threat, you know, before it was revealed of what the fuck everything actually was. It felt more, like, impactful to me. Because we saw dead bodies all over the ground. Granted, we did see dead bodies in Natlan in Act 4 of Natlan, right? But for Amphorius, once we got to, like, version 3.3, shit really started hitting the fan. Niggas were dead everywhere. Playable characters that was with us throughout this entire journey had already dropped off one after the fucking other. And now we even had less Chrysos heirs. That means we had less heroes to help try to save the day or bring about the Era Nova. Of course, this was before they revealed what the fuck the Era Nova was, actually. And so on and so forth, right? I felt more enjoyment from the Amphorius story than I did with Natlan. I can say that confidently. Let's continue.
Cringe ass music video where all of the nation heroes are playing instruments in a band. Oh my god. It's like literally unbearable to watch. And it's not like any of the other characters do anything to move the plot forward. This region doesn't even know how to treat its lore relevant characters as such. Auroron and Eon-san are the Natlan heroes from the Masters of the Nightwind and the Collective of...
Saying that Auroron didn't help push the plot forward is kind of crazy, considering the fact that he was in direct cahoots with the captain, because he believed that Mawika's plan wasn't going to work, and he believed that the option that the captain provided was a better option to go for. So there's that. Eon-san, on the other hand, Eon-san had no character to speak of in Natlan's Archon Quest. I can agree with that, absolutely. They did Eon-san dirty. And it's not even because they made it into a 4-star character instead of a 5-star character. It's really because she didn't have any story relevance at all until, like, the Prelude chapter that was right before version 5.3, which was the conclusion of the Natlan story. Right? She appeared for a little bit. Got to understand a little bit of her character, I guess. Not even that much. But then that was it for Eon-san as a character. Like, this is one of the reasons why I was like, man, if Natlan had went on for an entire year, just like how, you know, Nightcry eventually did, and of course how Amphorius' story was, I would have enjoyed Natlan even more, genuinely. Because honestly speaking, even with the technology, the advanced technology thing, even Amphorius did this better in execution and had it be directly tied into the main plot when the main characters were like, yo, how is it that these people, they have this old timey, it doesn't feel like their society has evolved to like reach the stars like everyone else that we've come across, but they have this crazy advanced technology. They got these hologram phones they call scrolls or whatever the fuck, and then they got like flying machinery that they can control and command with control panels and shit like that, or teleportation gadgets. Like, how is it that they have this stuff here in this medieval or like ancient Greece / Rome ass civilization? How? Right? And of course we learn why and how as time went on throughout the Amphorius story. And in comparison to Natlan didn't really focus on it, and in terms of in it being like in the main Archon quest, but instead dedicated that solely to the world quest, which again is a damn shame, because that shit should have been talked about and presented in the actual main Archon quest instead of it just being left to the world quest and being like, yo, you got to play those world quests, then you'll understand, right? Because a lot of people didn't bother going to play those fucking world quests. I did though, and I fucking loved them. They were great world quests. But again, it should have been tied into the main plot, which again, I think I even talked about the technology aspect, which I didn't show in my video. Hold on, let me rewind to the technology aspect. Let me play this.
I'm gonna keep it 100% with y'all. I'm gonna keep it real. At first, I defended the technology aspect of Natlan, but now I've changed my opinion on it. To be clear, I don't believe that it shouldn't have existed within a tribal setting. Take Horizon Zero Dawn, for example. It clearly can work for a setting for Natlan, or something similar like Natlan's, my bad. The only issue that I and many others have is that the technology wasn't integrated properly into the world building within the boundaries of the main Archon quest, or rather the world building as of Genshin as a whole, right? It's clear that the people of Natlan have used the technology left behind from the dragons to create such weapons and gadgets, but it's not mentioned or brought up in the main story, which is bad. The world quest in Natlan does a better job explaining and showing off the technology than the main story. Take a look at Ochka Natlan. It's literally called the City of Machinery, and there's legit crazy machinery and mechanics left all around Ochka Natlan if you go exploring for it, right? After exploring the new area in Natlan, aka the volcano, and the amount of times I've seen dragon tech that should have been all across Natlan since the beginning, like the flying serpents, dragon, puppets, and so on, it reaffirms my belief that they should have used the dragon technology as the technology that the people of Natlan have been using since the first reveal of them. In my opinion, they should have kept that style of like stone with like lava markings, like the one I'm showing on screen right now. That's basically what they should have kept as the technology that the playable characters use, right? In my opinion. Now, let's continue. Additionally, Mavuika's character info revealing or relating to her bike reveals how she not only found blueprints for it, but also how she salvaged parts from the dragon technology. She even needed Shalonen's help forging the pieces that she couldn't find for her bike. The info even reveals the thought process that Mavuika had for the idea of a fast-moving gadget that would help her reach the battlefield faster when the abyss inevitably attacked. My bad, I can't pronounce that word properly. This would have been great to have fleshed out in the main story, where they hid her bike the entire time until the final act. Like, come on, there's no justification for why Natlan's technology had so little impact in the story compared to Sumeru and Fontaine's technology. I can guarantee that Nodcry's tech will have more thought and care put into it in comparison to Natlan's. My bad.
And it clearly did.
Anyway, as I'm typing the script, it feels like Natlan was sacrificed for Nodcry's arrival. That's what it feels like to me personally. Now, on to the next point.
All right, back to the video.
Of plenty, respectively, but I guess they're not important enough to be the focuses of the Tribal Chronicles. Instead, those honors are given to Citlali and Varesa.
I think it's fine that Auroran was not the focus of the Tribal Chronicle due to the fact that he had main story quest focus in the actual Archon quest. Ienson, on the other hand, didn't have much of that at all.
the latter of which we hadn't even met during the Natlan Archon quest. She was literally invented just to take Eonsan's place. I wonder why that is. In any
Again, here we go, making the grand assumption and accusation of racism playing a role in why is it that Eonsan didn't have character focus, despite the fact we literally have brown skin characters that exist in the game before Natlan, aka Sumeru, that, guess what, played a role in the main story quest and had their own story quest and had 2 acts added on to their story quest. None other than Sino. So we cannot sit here and accuse and claim racism for this, because that's the implication she just did.
Invented just to take Eonsan's place. I wonder why that is.
Also, Versa is fucking great. Anyway, yeah, I'm biased towards Versa and Eonsan. They're my fucking overlord team. I'm biased for both of them, technically. But, like, I can most definitely criticize Eonsan for not having a lot of shit going on for her, which sucks. Especially when you read Eonsan's character lore, and it's like, brother, why didn't the hell did we not get this shit in the actual Archon quest? This would have been perfect to talk about, because, like, for a Nation of War, this could have been Eonsan's personal war with the fact that people look down on her because of the fact that she's small and thinks that she's a child, because of the fact that her body stopped growing at a certain point. And this is something that's like genetic in her bloodline. This is not something that just rarely happened to her and her only. This is a bloodline thing, right? It's talked about in her character information. And it sucks to know that they did not flesh that out or even touched on it in the Archon quest. Or if they did, it was like probably like a passing line or whatever the fuck, which sucks ass. Now, Versa was mentioned in the game in version 5.2 by Eonsan, saying that, yo, she was over there in the Collective of Plenty defending the area. And again, this goes back to my issue with the fact that Natlan's story only lasted for like 4 version updates. 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, 5.3. Yeah, essentially like 4 version updates. That's how long it lasted. And it sucks ass because there was other playable characters that we were going to get from Natlan to come into the story or come into, the game, but they weren't present, but they were mentioned in passing by, like, Auroron mentioned Aoife in passing and Eonsan mentioned Verissa in passing. And it's like these 2 characters didn't even appear in the Archon quest at all, which sucks. Which is why I love the approach that Genshin went with Nodcry. And the same thing with Star Rail. I love the approach that they also went with. And the same thing even goes for Zenless Zone Zero. I love this new approach that Hoyoverse is doing with their games for the story of, like, no, the story is not going to last for 4 version updates and we just call it a day. No, the story is going to last an entire year where these playable characters can come into the story and actually have a role to play in the story instead of just popping up out of fucking nowhere or being mentioned in passing and then coming into the story after everything happens and then they explain to us where the fuck they were at during the time of the story.
In any case, most of the important actions are driven by Mawika and the Traveler, so none of these characters feel important at all. They're just accessories to, again, the power of friendship storyline. But like I said, that obviously doesn't work unless
it was more of a man versus nature story, which I actually did talk about in my video on top of that, because people had the perception that Natlan's story was going to be like a man versus man story, but it turned out to be a man versus nature story, or man versus supernatural nature.
Unless these characters feel like they have meaningful relationships with each other, which they don't. Needless to say, I did not pull for any of the Natlan characters, even though their combat mechanics are in the meta right behind lunar reactions. The only one I really wanted, and only just recently got on Inefa's rerun, was the 4-star character Aoife, and that's mostly because he's a gorgeous cowboy. On the topic of Natlan characters being...
Is it also because he's black? Now, the reason I say that because she was making a complaint and a mention of the fact that the characters were not brown skinned, and he's one of the 4 characters from Natlan with melanated skin tone, and she clearly had an issue with that, especially how she just mentioned Eonsan and Verissa. So that's why I'm saying that. And again, I'm a nigga for crying out loud. So
Aoife, and that's mostly because he's a gorgeous cowboy. On the topic of Natlan characters being in the meta, Natlan is also when the shill started getting really bad. Soon enough, the Abyss and other endgame modes were tailor-made for Night Soul mechanics, with some bosses that are nearly impossible to beat without Natlan characters in the team.
That's true. Granted, I would argue that specific elemental reactions also help break those bars faster. In particular, the burning reaction, surprisingly, the burning reaction works great against Night Soul shield bosses. It works great against them. Literally, the burning reaction fries their shit. And I've tried this with a burning team that doesn't even have Kanich in it, or Emily, by the way. It works.
Just started a trend that only gets worse with time, one that leads us directly into
Nightcry, Columbina, and the Genshin villain problem. I can't wait till we get to that point. But the Columbina point was where I stopped watching the video by myself and decided I was going to make a reaction out of this video.
It's hard to forget how hyped people were when the first trailer for the new area after that, Nodcry, was released. Nodcry is a subnation of Snezhnaya, the last of the 7 nations we were supposed to visit in our search for our lost twin, so naturally the lore is getting pretty intense here. But the reaction to seeing so many lore-relevant characters in one trailer was immense. We got first glimpses of 2 members of the Hexen Circle, Alice and Nicole, the Grand Master of the Knights of Favonius, Varka, who we'd only heard about in passing until this point, and 2 Fatui Harbingers that hadn't appeared on screen before, Sandrone and Columbina. Every look we got was very fleeting, and it was hard to glean any info from this trailer alone. But
I'm going to say this right now. You remember this word that she just said in her mouth. There was barely any information to glean from this trailer alone. Let that sink into your brain as we go into when she starts talking about Columbina as a character.
People were still so excited. Imagine what Nodcry has in store if there's so many important characters here, ones that we've only heard whispers about prior. Well, Nodcry is better than Natlan by a long shot, but would you hate me if I said that this also disappointed me? Don't get me wrong, Nodcry in a lot of ways was kind of a positive return to form for Genshin. First of all, these characters actually feel like they know each other past, teehee, we're all best buddies. Aino and Anefa are so sweet, Varka and Flynn's are hilarious together, and Nefer and Lauma have some of the craziest Yuri subtext since Beidou and Ningguang. These characters feel more real as a result of their relationships with each other. I could enumerate more about them based on how they interact with others. Crazy, right? It made for a more interesting quest too, one that I could more easily become invested in. Nodcry did a lot of stuff right, but the true problem with the region unfortunately falls on the back of one character for me, one that was so highly anticipated, not just by me, but by so many people in this fandom, but she delivered so little.
I'm gonna let her speak.
Columbina. I know, there's a lot of Columbina lovers out there, but I'm sorry, there are so many reasons I cannot stand this woman, and part of it is because she's a complete disappointment. You might be familiar with the way that people thought Columbina was going to be a creepy character, maybe leaning into the biblically accurate angel aesthetic. There was a super popular theory that Columbina was a member of the canonical angel race, so this would make sense in a way. This creepy aesthetic for Columbina was also explored in a beautiful animation for Hoyo Fair called Stairway to Heaven by Kieru. The imagery...
So as you can already see, her first argumentation for why Columbina failed and disappointed her was because she didn't fit a headcanon people had of Columbina's character. That's the first mistake of this whole argument of why Columbina is a disappointment across the board. And just in general, regardless if it's for her and this consecrator in particular, or just other people. Literally, the reason why she's a disappointment to them is because she didn't fit the headcanon. And as we continue through this, she's going to make an excuse to try to hand wave this very thing I'm saying out of my mouth to sit here and be like, oh no, the headcanon was valid. Watch.
Is so spooky and it uses like analog horror elements. And if you have...
And what's even worse about this, do you not know how out of place this shit is for Genshin Impact? To go down this like eldritch horror route of story, even for a playable character. Do you not know how out of place this shit is? So this is even more for why this complaint is invalid to me, and just across the board, just objectively. We're going to use a fan animation that someone made up and really played hard into the fans' theory about Columbina being this like eldritch horror, being this creepy character. Nothing but fan speculation entirely, to use that as a justification to say that Columbina's character was bad because it didn't match this headcanon.
The imagery is so spooky, and it uses like analog horror elements. And if you haven't seen it, you should watch it after this. Oh my god, it's amazing. And this assumption that Columbina would be scary was not for nothing.
It was for nothing. She just said assumption because it wasn't a fucking fact.
People are always like, you just had an image in your head of what you wanted Columbina to be, and now you're disappointed that it didn't happen. And even if that is part...
You see how she tried to hand wave that to be like, oh, that's not the case? That's blatantly the case. And she just said this as well. Listen closely. Hold up.
You wanted Columbina to be, and now you're disappointed that it didn't happen. And even if that is partially why people are disappointed...
Even if why? That means, guess what? She's deciding to play devil's advocate. That means she genuinely believes this line that she just said here.
It's amazing. And this assumption that Columbina would be scary was not for nothing. People are always like, you just had an image in your head of what you wanted Columbina to be, and now you're disappointed that it didn't happen.
She's sitting here saying, out of her mouth, she's implying that people who say that are just objectively wrong, despite the fact they are objectively right in this scenario, blatantly. She's sitting here hand-waving that and being like, oh, that's not true. That's not true about what's going on here. Y'all just saying that for the sake of trying to dismiss valid critique of Columbina's character, which this critique is based on headcanon theory, by the way, of assuming what Columbina's character was going to be versus what she actually turned out to be that the devs planned for her to be.
And even if that is partially why people are disappointed, there is still in-game evidence and evidence in lore-relevant YouTube videos to support what people thought about her.
Yeah, and guess what? Guess what lore theory videos are? Lore theories. That's it. That's all they are. And theories can be disproven when a game reveals more information about a character or about a piece of information that they only gave us a small tidbit of. Because that's how theories work.
Let's go over some, shall we?
I'm going to say this right now. The evidence that she brings, also not good enough to even prove her point.
1. Columbina's appearance. Let's go over what we knew she looked like from our first look at her, the Winter Nights Lotso trailer. First, she has black and dark pink hair, colors that do not suggest something delicate or gentle. However,
good lord. Colors that are too... my goodness gracious. I got something I want to say, but I got it. I'm going to keep that shit to myself. Let's continue.
Dark pink hair. Colors that do not suggest something delicate or gentle. However, these dark colors are paired with Columbina's winged headdress, made of white feathers like dove wings. Not only does this mirror her name, Columbina, which means little dove, it also bears the appearance of a seraph, a type of angel in Christian theology. Seraphs typically have 3 pairs of wings and have the role of singing the praises of their god. Considering Columbina was a Fatui Harbinger, maybe the praises that she was singing were for the Tsaritsa.
Again, you see how she's using assumptions right here? Oh, we're going to assume what she was doing was singing for her god. Again, this makes sense in context for when this trailer first came out, but outside of that, this doesn't make sense at all.
Columbina is also clearly wearing a black and pink outfit under her Fatui coat, something that they very evidently dropped in her final design.
Who's to say that's not a part of her jacket?
Finally, Columbina has her eyes covered, suggesting maybe an unfeeling or uncaring personality, or maybe some mysterious power that lies behind her eyes. 2. Columbina's actions. In the trailer, she is singing a soft lullaby, smiling gently while laying along the coffin of her recently deceased fellow Harbinger. I don't care what anyone says, that's creepy.
Unfortunately for you, no, it's not. Especially for the Columbina's character and more that we've seen from her character, is in particular her friendships with Arlecchino, Sandrone, and La Senora. It makes absolute sense that she's smiling while she's singing. Because this person was her friend. Like, she ain't weeping in her tears, bawling her eyes out, boo-hoo, because she didn't do that shit when Sandrone originally died, aka the puppet of her originally died. She didn't bawl tears crying. She was sad, and she expressed it, right? Here, she's singing. And Columbina usually is smiling when she sings. Or sometimes she's smiling when she sings.
It shows that she kind of has this detached attitude regarding death, especially of her own colleague. 3. What other characters say about her? Child's voice line about his fellow Harbinger points the most to a scary character in Columbina.
The Fatui Harbingers are ranked by strength, and I have no idea why that girl is number 3. I'd test my skills with every Harbinger who ranks above me if I had the chance. But when it comes to her, something just doesn't feel right. Anyway, you should be careful around her.
Again, let's put this in context. Child does not know nothing about Columbina as a person. He has no idea what the fuck she is or who the fuck she is at all. Because even when we first met Columbina in the cave in Nodcry, even the Traveler felt this power, this presence in her when she looked at the Traveler with anger, thinking that the Traveler was there to capture her and drag her back to the Fatui. Right? And probably Child felt a moment of that probably one time when he first met her. She probably viewed that nigga as a threat to her. Because, you know, knowing the fact that this nigga got abyssal energy and power in his fucking body, trained by the student of the Foul. So, taking that in consideration. But back to the main point. He did not know anything about Columbina. So him being like, something feels off about her, this could just literally just be the elemental power in his body or the abyssal energy in his body reacting to the fact of Columbina and her moon power. This literally could all it be. Or it more than realistically is just what that is the abyssal power in his body reacting to the moon fragment power.
Even Child sounded scared to challenge her to a battle, and he loves fighting with strong opponents. Scaramouche also...
Wait a minute, hold up. Let's go ahead and re-listen to that line again. Okay, never mind. She was accurate what she said about the voice line. Never mind.
Anyway, you should be careful.
Loves fighting with strong opponents. Scaramouche also suggests staying away from her and implies that she is not as innocent as she seems.
Let me ask. What should you do if you were to encounter a damsel who is oblivious and innocent at any given time, and unconcerned and unfeeling in any given situation?
Which, guess what? We've seen both sides of that to Columbina when we meet her and as she develops as a character. We see her care about Sandrone. We see her be uncaring or unconcerned about shit happening outside of her little cave because she believes it had nothing to do with her, and so she's just going to leave that alone. We saw that throughout the entirety of Nodcry. So what he's saying here is actually correct. But again, Wander is a person known for not trusting people at all and being highly skeptical of people. So his description of her is extremely biased because of his perception. So we cannot take, what's this word I'm looking for? The hearsay of two individuals who don't know her personally to be like, oh, what they're saying about her is factually correct. Because hearsay has to be proven. And guess what? Their hearsay was proven not to be true. At least 100% of that shit wasn't. Or in the case of Wanderer, I would say about 10% was proven to be true, at least with this line he says. But everything else after the fact, no.
If it were me, I could at least challenge her to a fight. But if it were you, with your conscience, I would stay away from her.
The way that I've seen people defend this is by saying that Childe and Scaramouche are bad at reading people and they didn't know her that well, so of course their assumption would be wrong. They just knew that she was powerful. Dude, you are not getting at the reason why these voice lines are put in the game.
The reason why the voice line is put into the game is to give you just a drip feed information about the character from another character's point of view. That's it. And to sit there and hand wave it, be like, oh, the way I've seen people defend this was because they didn't know Columbina well, as if that's incorrect to say when it's objectively the truth. Sandrone knows Columbina better than both Childe and Wanderer. Arlecchino knows Columbina better than both Wanderer and Childe. So no. When people say that, that's not some, oh, that's a BS defense. No, it's absolutely valid counterpoint and argument. These two niggas have never been shown to even be friendly with the other Harbingers. We've seen Childe have a bicker back and forth with the other Harbingers multiple times. With El Senora in particular. What are we talking about? And we've seen how Wanderer talks about Childe as well in passing when Childe isn't around. Like, these two fools is not trustworthy in descriptions of people. Not at all. They are not absolutely the sources of information that we should rely on to be the basis of every time they talk about a character. Because, again, their perception of the character can be absolutely fucking wrong, as shown with Columbina, prime example.
Yes, they are useful for showing the relationships between characters and what characters think about each other, but they should also be used to provide hints and information about characters that we haven't met yet.
And it also should provide misleading information as well, because that's what it was. Their idea of Columbina, or their thought process on Columbina and their description of her, was completely off base. Because the game can also drip feed us misleading information, which they blatantly did in the case of Columbina.
If you put in a voice line about Columbina not being what she seems, then people are going to listen to that and assume that she's not what she seems.
Again, assuming versus what they actually prove her to be. Again, misleading information. It's done on purpose.
And there's nothing wrong.
And this misleading information coming from two individuals who are known not to be very trusting of other people. Like, that's even more proof not to even believe the words coming out of their mouth. It's more proof to be skeptical of what they say.
Wrong with that. I think people just aren't willing to admit that Genshin has bad and inconsistent writing sometimes.
Or maybe the logic being used to claim that her character was rewritten or that they retconned her character is purely bullshit, considering the fact that one is based off pure headcanon fan animation, and two, based off information given to us that is blatantly misleading by two individuals who are very untrustworthy individuals, who are biased narrators, extremely skeptical of other people, and very untrustworthy people in the sense of they are not trusting of other people. So it's like, knowing that about those two characters and them telling us about Columbina and being shocked that Columbina doesn't match their description, knowing who Childe and Wanderer are as people, is like, no, this is not some, oh, they rewrote or there's some inconsistent writing. No. This is blatant hearsay given to us by two untrustworthy narrators and people taking it as absolute fact and then being upset that this hearsay, which is all those voice lines about other characters, is fucking hearsay. That hearsay about other characters not being absolutely true and then being upset that, oh, she didn't turn out to be this eldritch horror that the fans thought of and assumed that she was going to be fucking be.
Fourth, her rank. Columbina was long known to be the third Harbinger. It's also been known for a long time that the closer they are to number 1 in the rankings, the more powerful they are. Columbina being number 3, especially right below Dottore, who is notably unhinged and evil, suggests that she is not only similarly powerful, but also similarly devoted to her work as part of a major villain faction.
Antagonist, not villain. So you're incorrect about that. They're an antagonist faction, not villain. So you're wrong. 2, we didn't even know what type of work Columbina was doing. So we can't even assume what her work was. We only found out what her work was the moment we went to Nodcry and found out that Columbina was just being used for Dottore's experiments, for the Tsaritsa's grand goal, or for his own personal shit.
I cannot stress this enough. Clearly, there is a wealth of evidence to support the theories that people had about Columbina.
Just because it supports the theories does not mean that those theories were going to come true. That's like saying, oh, well, we had all these theories about, the sky of Tevat actually being real, but then it turns out that the sky of Tevat actually, is fucking fake, and being upset about the fact that it was revealed to be fake, despite the fact it was so obvious that it was going to be fucking fake. With all the information we got. No, that's not even a good example. Let me think of a better example than that. What good example can I give? Oh, here we go. Prime example. This is actually rather a better example that I have. This is like being upset that they revealed the dragons of the old world to have ancient technology. Because in the Book of Sun and Moon, it reveals that the Heavenly Principles fought the dragons, the evil dragons, as it was told to us in the Book of Sun and Moon. Giving us that lore and us thinking, oh, these dragons must be these monstrous creatures that the Heavenly Principles defeated in order to create this world. And right, that's what they've told us, because thanks to this lore. Only for this lore to be disproven, because this book isn't as trustworthy as it seems, especially with its framing, because it's coming from a biased narrator, when it's revealed that the dragons were not evil at all, and they had their own advanced technology and civilization to the point that they were reaching the stars. And then being shocked about, oh man, why in the fuck is the dragons having advanced technology that can reach the stars? Why is it that they have a moon base on the fucking moon? Blah, 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 blah. That's essentially what this equates to. What she just said about this whole Columbina thing, it's a direct parallel to what I just gave for my example. My better example. It's essentially one-to-one. And then being upset about it. That the theories, that the misleading info given by biased narrators did not turn out to be true. Like, huh?
I'm tired of people pretending that it wasn't there, and I'm tired of people pretending that it wouldn't have worked tonally. There is literally a villain who does human experimentation. There was literally a genocide in Conria. But no. Instead, we learn that Columbina is actually a moon goddess? Okay, sure. But also, she's actually just a damsel in distress, like her name suggests. She's timid and soft-spoken, and
yeah, like how Arlecchino, the knave, is a servant, just like her name suggests as well. She is a servant to what? The Tsaritsa. She's a servant to what? Her job. She's a servant to what? The children of the House of Hearts, because she cares about them greatly.
Gentle, and she's shy at first, but eventually opens up to you.
I wouldn't say that she was shy. She was aloof, and she most definitely was not cooperative at all. I wouldn't say shy was the best word to describe Columbina when we first met her. If anything, she was hostile on top of that. Shy is not the word to describe Columbina when first introducing her. No, absolutely not. Aloof is a better word.
You are the most special person in her life, even though you've known her for maybe 2 weeks.
This is dishonest framing to the nth degree about what this relationship with Columbina was. Columbina was not trusting of the Traveler when they first fucking met. Why are we framing it as if Columbina was so trusting of the Traveler when they first fucking met? They weren't. What the hell is going on here? Good Lord in heaven. The dishonesty of the framing of what the fuck happened is some next level shit right now. Columbina did not trust the Traveler and perceived him as a threat on first initial response. Like, do we need to pull up the clip? It did not take, it took fucking, what was it? About 3-4 version updates before Columbina started becoming more comfortable around the Traveler and started speaking more with the Traveler and being more cooperative with the Traveler. Why are we sitting here acting as if Columbina only treated the Traveler as like, oh, you're the most best person in the world, when literally the story was setting up to have Columbina have a special relationship with everybody, not solely the Traveler. This is some dishonest shit to the nth degree. Good Lord in heaven.
I cannot stand how willfully obtuse people will be about Columbina, pretending not to see the fan service that is sitting right in front of them. She hides behind the Traveler when she doesn't know how to talk to people. Aww, she likes to eat snacks. Aww, you get to feed her during Moon Prayer Night while the English VA is moaning into the mic every 2 seconds.
Oh my good Lord in heaven. Good God, I promise you to God, if this was a gay ship, she wouldn't be saying half this shit. Good Lord in heaven. I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
Aww, she's so weak. She can't do anything by herself and probably...
What? So now we're going to sit here and dishonestly frame what the fuck happened in the story? No wonder niggas wanted me to fucking react to this video. No fucking wonder. Because this is some bad faith shit to the nth degree. This is crazy bad faith. I told you I was going to give an honest fucking reaction to this video. This is going to be a lengthy reaction. This is a lengthy reaction. I may have to not stream tonight just to get this reaction done. Good Lord. How deep am I? I'm already 2 hours within the reaction. You are going to dishonestly frame what the fuck happened in the story, when every playable character, including the Traveler, was trying to save Columbina from disappearing. Alice was the first one to clock it and tell everyone else about it, and which sprawled everyone else to go fucking help and try to save Columbina from vanishing. Why are we framing it as if the Traveler was the only person Columbina relied on?
Probably would have died if the Traveler hadn't rescued her. Oh.
You mean the entire playable cast? Which includes Alice? Again, why are we acting like the Traveler was the only one doing that shit? Do I need to pull this up? Goodness gracious. I didn't think this video was going to get so bad faith. Good Lord. What was this? 6.2? 6.2. I gotta put 6.2 playthrough. Hold up. Because this is crazy bad faith. This is so bad faith. Good Lord. Where is it? Crazy bad faith.
Thank you for waiting. I finished checking your adventurer handbook. Here are your commission rewards. We have no...
For funsies, of course. What's wrong, Paimon? Are you disappointed in me? Am I a gigantic letdown?
No, it's...
I'm looking right at him. You've really gone downhill since giving your daughter...
And another way that she's framing Columbina as if Columbina's character did not develop on its own, and acting as if her character only developed and only is relevant thanks to the Traveler being beside her 24/7. And it's like, bro, what the fuck are we talking about? Hold up, let me keep going. I'm trying to find what I'm trying to look for.
Both be eligible to apply.
Hey! Don't go around making promises on Alice's behalf.
I wouldn't dare. I'm just trying to paint a picture of the Hexen Circle for you.
guys have ever met Nicole. Are you Nicole?
Maybe something she's wearing will give it away?
Let's skip it up for a little bit.
Paimon remembers her.
Yes. Well, I have retained more of my power than she. It's because specific... no. We'll be here all day if I get into the specifics. Moving on. If I'm not mistaken, you are here because you wish to learn how one might reach the moon beyond the sky.
Hey, this person
That's right. Is that something you can give us any guidance on?
Yes, I do know a way. It began with the Hyperboreans, who lived after the War of Funerary Flame.
Oh, pause. Hold up. It seemed like the discussion for the plan didn't happen until around here. So let's click around here and see.
Albedo too.
We were all waiting on people, so I figured having
Waiting for us? Does this mean that you've already
back, we can go meet up with them together. How'd your investigation of the Frost Moon Enclave go?
Well, we didn't find out Columbina's true name. But apart from that, it went pretty well.
Aha, just as well that I didn't tag along then. I'm sure our moon goddess wouldn't want every man and his dog knowing all about her private life. Still, desperate times, desperate measures, I guess. Someone had to do it.
As you can see, the entire squad, literally, damn near the entire playable cast is present. Okay, not in this scene, but like as we continue forward with the next coming scenes, the entire playable cast of Nodcry comes to help try to get Columbina back. This is not some she's disappearing. Wait, how she framed it? Let's rewind. Let's rewind this. Let's rewind what she said about
The
this. Hold
English
up.
VA is moaning into the mic every 2 seconds. Aww. She's so weak. She can't do anything by herself and probably would have died if the Traveler hadn't rescued her.
If the Traveler didn't rescue her, despite the fact the entire playable cast is literally working together to save Columbina. How is that? Oh, she couldn't have done anything if the Traveler didn't save her. You mean her entire friend group that she developed and got as the story progressed? That's what you meant to say, right?
People like to pretend that it's somehow misogynistic to point this out. Again, purposefully ignoring that Hoyo is writing her this way intentionally.
Wait, hold up. What? Let's rewind that. Wait a minute.
People like to pretend that it's somehow misogynistic to point this out.
It's misogynistic to point this out? How? I'm not seeing the logic of the misogyny of that. I'm not seeing it. But whatever.
Out. Again, purposefully ignoring that Hoyo is writing her this way intentionally. Guys, I kid you not, she literally turns invisible for a significant portion of the Archon quest. I promise you, that is not feminist. And
she turns... I don't give a fuck about your politics. I'm gonna say that right now. She turned invisible because her power was disappearing. Because she wasn't anchored to this world by her name. Because, again, the Frost Moon that she's connected to have been thrown out of the planet's orbit. So, the very thing that she's connected to, that's tied to her very existence, the thread between the two is fucking disappearing. And she was disappearing as well. The squad was trying to find a way to save her ass. This ain't got nothing to do with men and women, feminists, and fucking red pill shit. I don't know why the fuck this is even being mentioned in relation to this fucking character.
Guys, I kid you not, she literally turns invisible for a significant portion of the Archon quest.
And can't contribute to the plot as a result. Yeah, because she's fucking disappearing and she can't touch anything, nor could she interact with people. It's done on purpose. It's a part of the fucking plot. Yeah, of course she couldn't fucking contribute to the plot. The plot was, we gotta save Columbina. She's fucking disappearing for crying out loud. We're trying to find a way to reach the fucking Frost Moon so that she can go back to the moon so that she can be stable and continue to live. AKA save her fucking life.
Quest. I promise you, that is not feminist. And it's not even like the moon goddess thing makes any sense. They even come up with some last-minute reason why she covers her eyes. There was a time when I refused to look upon the world. I believed it was full of nothing but lies and falsehoods. I wished to hide my feelings, seal my heart, until I could...
So we're going to dishonestly frame this to be like, oh, they came up with some last-minute reason for why she covers her eyes. So we're going to have to believe in the headcanon reason for why she covered her eyes versus what the character is actually telling us, which is based on actual information that we got from the story in relation to her, guess what, relationship with the Frost Moon Scions and how she's been bouncing from place to place until she came across the Fatui. How would we say this is some made-up last-second reason when they've already set the fucking groundwork for such a reason to even exist? This is some dishonest misinterpretation on purpose, actually. Bad faith misinterpretation of this character just to make this point in this video. I'm sorry. I hard disagree with this.
I could return to my true home. Oh my god.
And this is not even me being a stan for Columbina, because I don't think Columbina, she's one of my favorite characters, sure. But like, I'm not some ultra big mega fan stan of the character. But when I see someone blatantly lying in 4K 1000 to my face about what the fuck happened in the story, and you wonder why, and this is again another reason why people don't want to, a subsection of the Genshin fandom do not want to skip button in the game because of shit like this. This is the reason why. When you start coming across so many people in bad faith telling an audience of, how many people watch this video again? 39,000 people who either played the game, who don't even play the game anymore, or even played up to where this scene happens. You're going to, in such bad faith, mention this and be like, oh, this didn't make sense. Oh, her being a moon goddess didn't make sense. In comparison to the fucking headcanon theory of her just being an angel and that's it. Like, what? It was crazy. The moon goddess. Oh my god. Bro, it's literally revealed in lore that the fucking dragons, the moon goddesses, and the angels, all three of them have direct correlation with each other. The angels, when they fall from grace, they could literally become dragons. So the baseline of creation for the angels is literally draconic in nature. So that's one. Two, the moon goddesses were created by the dragons. And the fucking, the moon goddesses themselves, I'm pretty sure the moon goddesses created the fucking Seelie. If I remember this information correctly. Actually, let me double check. Let me just double check this. Over there. Okay, here we go. Let's see. In lore, there were a great race created by Fanes, also known as the Primordial One. Long ago, these creatures were tall, beautiful, and wise. Basically, okay, Fanes created the angels, and the Seelie were... Oh, no, correction. Fanes created the angels, but the baseline of their creation is blatantly draconic in nature, because with the most recent story quest with Lohan, we find out that the dragon known as Ursa was actually an angel before he became a dragon. So they're draconic in nature on a baseline. Two, the angels that were banished from heaven or Celestia became Seelies after losing their forms. So there's that. So these things, these concepts, they tie to each other in some way, shape, or form. Not in this like rotating circle, but like in this like, how can I, like this grid circuit dot line type shit. But like her being a moon goddess, first and foremost. Actually, let me go back to that thing that she showed about Columbina. let's go back here. What's this?
Christian
Hold up.
means little dove, feathers like dove wings. Not only does this mirror her name, Columbina, which means little dove, it also bears the appearance of a seraph, a type of angel in Christian theology. Seraphs typically have three.
Okay. So there's nothing to talk about what Columbina actually is in lore. Say about Columbina. Columbina's rank. What's this? Here we go.
Who does human experience?
Okay, whatever. That's not it either. Okay, hold on. So yeah, there's no lore that existed prior to Columbina becoming playable, and the information they give us about her, about her being the moon goddess. There's nothing in the information that existed prior that proved, without a shadow of a doubt, that she was an angel. That was an assumption on people's part because of the motifs and whatnot. But she is angelic in nature, most definitely.
This way intentionally. Guys, I kid you not, she literally turns. I could return to my true home. Oh my god. If this is
Columbina's whole story was about her wanting to go home anyway, so why are we fucking clowning on that like that wasn't a part of her main story or was the objective of her character?
What they originally planned to do with her. True home. Oh my god. If this is what they originally planned to do with her, which it wasn't, then
you have no proof that wasn't what they planned to do with her. Let's go ahead and make that clear now. You're making such grand assumption that what they planned to do with her was make her some eldritch creature that was fucking creepy as shit to two unreliable narrators about other people to then be like, oh, they changed it last second. You have no proof of that, and you're claiming without a shadow of a doubt that was the case. You're gonna have to provide blatant proof that it was the other way around. Sorry, even with the proof you provided, it's not even enough to even prove it. Because it's, again, relying on what? Assumption.
Then she was a goddamn waste of a Harbinger slot. It is so clear to me that she was never their original intention for the moon goddess. Her design suffers so bad as a result of Hoyo's ineptitude. I mean, look at these colors. They don't go together at all.
Disagree.
Oh my god, she's so beautiful. No, she's not. Her design.
I'm sorry. When I see artists online start yapping and shit about, oh, what I would have done better with their character design, I immediately roll my fucking eyes because I know that's what this is about to lead to. Because every time someone's like, oh, well, I'm an artist or whatever, it's an appeal to authority to make you believe that everything that they say is just objectively true in relation to character design and about how it should be, when it's just like, no.
Design is two different designs smashed together.
Bro, ma'am, you cannot be for real. Hold up. You know how stupid this shit sounds when she's saying this? Knowing that this is a fucking jacket. That's all this is. This is just a winter coat. This is not their actual character design. And literally everyone else around the fucking table is wearing it too. Let's rewind, shall we?
Inconsistent writing sometimes. Fourth, her rank. Columbina was long known.
Shit. She's not. Oh my god. I gotta do this myself. Let me pull this up. Let me pull this shit up right now. Because this shit is so stupid.
This nation endure for all.
We see the entire squad in fucking winter coats. Why are we talking as if they fucking changed her character design? Bitch, hold up. Excuse me. Forgive me for calling out your name. My apologies. But my girl, what are we doing here? All these niggas are dressed in winter coats. These are not their official character designs. Sandrone does not look like this on the baseline. This is just a coat that's an add-on. Again, Columbina, add-on coat. Him, add-on coat. Child, especially, add-on coat. Arlecchino, absolutely, add-on coat. Fucking Pantalone, add-on coat. Dottore, add-on coat. These are not their baseline character designs. So why are we sitting here acting like Columbina had her character design ruined and changed when she's just wearing a fucking jacket that's covering up her outfit? What are we doing?
In fact, these colors only look okay together when they purposefully give the outfit more purple tones, which they could have just as easily done in the game model, but they didn't. Even her constellation is a mishmash of her Fatui aesthetic and her goddess aesthetic. We have both the traditional portrait shape that all the other gods in the game get, and also her symbol of the crying dove, just shoved right in at the bottom. I completely believe the idea that Nodcry, or that this character at least, was rewritten at some point because there is no indication that they had any semblance of a plan for such a highly anticipated character. And the most frustrating part about all of this to me is that Hoyo actually leans into several of the things that people thought about Columbina, but only enough that it feels like they're teasing and laughing in the face of their fans, as if we read into it too much or something.
You most definitely did.
In her burst, she grows wings like an angel, and these wings bear resemblance to a Seelie court, both echoing the theory that she is an angel. But she's not an angel. In her character trailer, she performs a ballet, which calls to mind for me the very popular fan design in which she was a ballerina, something that the ribbons on her hands and feet might suggest.
Okay, cool. They alluded to a fan design from how long ago? Okay. Not enough to prove that they're fucking just teasing it in front of people's faces. This would be just a genuine reference to something people thought of Columbina's character. That's all this could be, or at least for this particular example. Like, what?
And it kills me because this trailer is beautiful. The visuals and the choreography are gorgeous. The symbolism of Dottore as the pianist who's controlling the dance by playing the music. Oh my god, I love it. But it would be even better if she was a dancer or a ballerina of some kind, because she isn't. Even though that would have made a lot of sense thematically with her singing. Perhaps the strangest example
Kind of character not be a singer and not be a dancer.
Of Hoyoverse leaning into the theories about Columbina is that they have the singer Aurora wearing a dress with eyes on it during the Welkin Moon concert, which suggests the biblically accurate angel thing. Maybe I'm reading too much into this.
The fact that you have to sit here and say that to yourself already proves that you're reading too much into it.
This last one especially, but I cannot take it. It is so frustrating because they are so close. But no, Genshin is allergic to having playable characters who are morally gray or irredeemable. This leads...
Wait a minute, what? Wait. We've had morally gray characters plenty of times. What are you talking about? Allergic? Does Arlecchino not exist to you? Have you not played any of the world quests where the traveler actually helps a NPC murk off an entire tribe of people because they fucked with his friend? Excuse you? Morally gray? They're allergic to morally gray characters? Did we forget that Child damn near caused the entire destruction of Liyue Harbor? Pantalone, this nigga doesn't give a fuck about anything else but what he can gain from the situation. Dottore, blatant just bastard all the way through. The captain, probably the only morally righteous person in this entire group of niggas, honest to God.
Allergic to having playable characters who are morally gray or irredeemable. This leads to what I lovingly refer to as the Genshin villain problem. Other popular gacha games, like Cookie Run Kingdom, literally have morally reprehensible or canonically dead characters that are playable. What is stopping Genshin from making their villains stay villains, but also become
Again, here we go with this whole staying villain shit. No, characters were antagonists, not villains.
Playable. Columbina is just an embodiment
and
of a big...
By this logic, by this pure logic that they redeemed the fucking villain characters of this game so that they don't have to worry about the whole morally gray character or absolute irredeemable character. If this was true, why in the fuck is Child here? Child was never redeemed for nearly destroying Liyue by unleashing the Overlord of the Vortex. I would love to know, when did Child get redeemed for that? The answer is it never fucking happened. What about Wanderer? Wanderer, his redemption wasn't even fucking redemption. When he found out the truth, he sought to erase himself, thinking that it was going to correct everything. And then found out, JK, just kidding, it doesn't work that way. And so the consequence of his actions for what he did will come back to bite him in the ass. And he eagerly awaits for the day for when it happens. He still has to interact with the Raiden Shogun and the children or descendants of the Raiden Gokuden. He still has to interact with them. That has yet to happen yet. Arlecchino, what did they redeem Arlecchino for again? I would love to know, because last time I checked, they didn't redeem Arlecchino of nothing. She still will body bag niggas for the sake of like her job as a intelligence gatherer. If somebody were to hurt these children that she loves, she will kill them without a second thought. Again, what did Arlecchino do that redeemed her character? The only thing we've seen was fleshing out of her character for understanding why she is what she is. Again, this whole claim that people have been pushing for years about Genshin not keeping their quote-unquote villain characters, which aren't even villain characters, they're fucking antagonists, staying as villains and becoming playable villain characters, is fucking stupid in context when you actually bring up the story of what happened and literally point to what exactly was the quote-unquote redemption, and then you find out that either there was no redemption at all, or the redemption has even yet to happen yet.
Villains, but also become playable. Columbina is just an embodiment of a bigger problem in Genshin. They do not want to have any characters who have questionable morals become playable. Most of the time, this ends up going in two ways. The first is that the character is redeemed and then becomes friends with the Traveler before becoming playable. This is what has happened to every playable Harbinger thus far.
Again, Tartaglia did not get redeemed. Please prove that.
Tartaglia fights anything that moves, but he respects the Traveler even though they have different motives and values. He only ever wants a friendly spar with them. Scaramouche.
How is that redemption? No. I'm sorry. I'm not letting you slide with that. No. Bro, did you see what she just did there? She said, option 1, characters can't become playable because they are redeemed. Then she mentions Child, but she doesn't even show what exactly was the redemption of Child that allowed for him to become playable. What was the redemption? Oh, because he wanted to squabble with a nigga? That's not redemption. I'm sorry. That's not how that works. Where was the whole him asking for forgiveness for his actions for the past actions he committed? There was none. He was like, yo, I did what I did because this is my job, bro. Simple as that. No hard feelings. That was it. There was no redemption in that. See? You see what I'm saying? I literally just proved this before she even showed it.
Thus far, Tartaglia fights anything that moves, but he respects the Traveler even though they have different motives and values. He only ever wants a friendly spar with them.
Again, that's not redemption. You still did not tell me what exactly was he asking for forgiveness for whatever action he committed. You told me what he came and did and what business he stood on. That's it.
Scaramouche has no one else who understands his past and is connected with the Traveler in that way. Arlecchino is a...
Wow, are we not going to dive into his character, or are we just skimming past that shit? What? Crazy interesting how we just going to skim past this. Oh, no one else knows his past and that's it? We're not going to acknowledge the fact that, one, first of all, this nigga didn't fully erase his past. All he did was change the name of his self in the past records. That's it. Guess what? The actions that he committed still happened. The consequences of those actions will still come to bite him in the ass. Them things didn't just vanish and then he just got redeemed. I'm like, no. That's not what happened. Again, anyone who keeps up with the story and even remembers what half the shit that happened in this fucking game story knows that this is not what happened. Especially how she's framing it.
Who understands his past and is connected with the Traveler in that way. Arlecchino is a ruthless woman who is grooming children to be a part of the Fatui, but it turns out that the House of the Hearth is a lot less sinister under her rule, so that's okay too, I guess. And Columbina...
The House and the Hearth, yes, they are grooming children into becoming soldiers for the Fatui, absolutely. The story doesn't even deny that. But what the story does show is the other side of this as well, that these children have an option to literally leave if they want to. So it's not this absolute villainous shit of like, oh, they're just grooming children. brainwashing them into becoming soldiers. Like, no. That's not what's happening. They're training them because these are orphans on the street that have nowhere else to go. And the House of the Hearth has brought them. And the House of the Hearth trains soldiers for the Fatui. So that's how it works. On top of that, we find out the very interesting quirks about all the children in the House of the Hearth being some rather unhinged people. In particular, one of the children loves, hurting animals, and the other one loves making poisons. So it's like, what? Excuse you? Again, Arlecchino still is morally gray because she can flip-flop whenever she wants to, depending on the situation. Because as she said, if anything were to bring harm to the children of the House of the Hearth, even if it's the Fatui, she would flip-flop. She would be like, I would go against the Fatui. And like, huh?
A lot less sinister under her rule, so that's okay too, I guess. In Columbina,
this battle was never about fate.
Oh my god, every time, like, I'm gonna say this right now. People on the internet have tainted this whole friends and family shit. They've tainted it to be something cringe when it's fucking not. And what's even worse is that she's going to use this scene and try to frame it as like, oh my goodness, look how cringe this is. And it's like, brother, the story was building up to that theme of Nodcry as a whole. Because Nodcry is the home to all these people here. And they value it and treasure it greatly, including their friends that live here. So how exactly is the message not being brought forth? That was something that was clearly being shown throughout the entire story of Nodcry. Like, what are we doing? All these friends huddled in a circle trying to find ways to fight against Rear or stop the Doctor or save Columbina. Like, how does it not match what the fuck Columbina says in this line?
It's about friends, family, and the home you
This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
the second way it goes is that the character cannot be redeemed and is therefore killed off so that they won't become playable. This is what happened to Signora way back in Inazuma, and most recently it happened to Dottore.
I'm surprised that she didn't mention the captain, because the captain wasn't a villain at all. And he also wasn't redeemed, and he was killed off. So we got two examples of like, oh, the villain being killed off. And what I find kind of crazy about this is that people bitch about Genshin's story not having consequences or like doesn't kill off characters. But then when they kill off characters, then it's a fucking problem. It's just like, brother, what are we doing here? Pick a lane.
This was honestly shocking to me, especially considering how much of a fan favorite Dottore is.
You think they were going to let this nigga live and not kill his ass? Granted, people do speculate that maybe Dottore still does live right now. It is speculated since some of the ley lines or the branches of the ley lines still exist underground. So potentially he may still be alive, or at least a fragment of himself may still be alive.
It's honestly shocking to me, especially considering how much of a fan favorite Dottore is. Let me be clear, Dottore is a horrible person and he should not be redeemed. We should be able to understand his motives without forgiving him for what he has done. He has imposed so much pain on so many people in the game, and his morals are extremely corrupt, but he's still very, very interesting, and you can sometimes almost understand where he's coming from while still not condoning his methods, which I must stress is what makes a well-written villain. People love this guy's character, but now he can never become playable because as of right now, he's dead. Little did you know, though, that there is a secret third option, which is what they did to Capitano, a combo of options 1 and 2. They redeemed him and then still killed him off anyway. What a strange decision that was.
Yeah, I will say the decision to kill him off was strange. But again, where is the redemption for Capitano, and what is the villainous actions that he's done to require redemption of his actions or forgiveness for his actions? Where is that at? You need to show that to me.
Again, for a character that was extremely highly anticipated, they just threw in all this tragic backstory for him at the very end of the Natlan Archon quest, and then he fucking died right after that, so none of it mattered at all. It's like they don't understand their own visual cues. A perfect example of this to me is Escoffier. Maybe, again, this might be just me, but even she gave me creepy vibes in the silhouette teaser.
What? Yeah, it is you. You're smoking something crazy. She gave you creepy vibes out of all the characters from this silhouette? What, because she had a knife in her hand? What, did you think that she was going to be some crazy yandere?
From the live stream where they revealed upcoming characters for 2025. She has this hair that sticks out, the shape of which largely resembles horns.
Again, assumption to the nth degree being used here. And I'm supposed to take this as serious criticism.
And conveys a sort of like wildness of her personality. She has a devil's pitchfork tail that's positioned up where we can clearly see it. And she's holding a sharp knife up. Like, she looked psycho to me, and I was intrigued. And at least that would have been interesting and different. But no, not only is this design ass, but it's also incredibly
I disagree.
Misleading. She's just kind of a tsundere who's very particular about her food.
Yeah, because they revealed that she was a chef. God forbid they go through with what they wanted the character to be, which is a chef. And they show her holding a knife in her silhouette. Which, again, assumption. They wanted you to assume something only to be proven wrong about it. Again, same thing with the Columbina thing. Assume, proven wrong. AKA it's called defying expectations that were based on pure assumption and headcanon.
I don't understand why they're like this, guys. One of my favorite comments that I've seen about this that just perfectly embodies my feelings on the matter is this from the unofficial Genshin subreddit. They're allergic to morally gray, redeemable, or just bad characters because they don't know how to write anything that isn't a shitty isekai where the main character wins using the power of friendship and his harem.
I can't believe we're taking this as serious, knowing damn well that's not how Genshin's story is written. On top of that, that's how Withering Wave's story is written, first of all. Let's be so fucking clear here. What? We've gotten morally great characters. We've gotten characters who've been redeemed. I say with air quotes. And we've gotten blatantly bad characters. To say that they're allergic to write these characters, despite the fact we've literally gotten them over the last 6 years, is retarded. Let's continue. Then talking about the shitty isekai where the MC wins using the power of friendship. Wow, so dishonest, knowing damn well the majority of these conflicts were not power of friendship. That's how you defeated the villain with no actual explanation to how we defeated them, despite the fact the story goes out of its way to flesh out and explain how the fuck we defeated them. This is like saying we defeated the Tory with the power of friendship when we fucking didn't. This is like saying we defeated the Narwhal with power of friendship when we didn't. This is like saying we defeated the fucking Gozoitoth in the Abyss. Or at least in the Night Kingdom with the power of friendship. When no, it was with fucking elemental power that we've been told for years has a direct counter to abyssal energy. What are we talking about? Oh, we defeated Dottore with the power of friendship. What? No. We gained up on his ass, broke his little device with the moon fragments, took them bitches, and, put his ass in the dirt. Once and twice. It's like, what are we talking about here? Oh, we defeated Mecha Scaramouche with power of friendship. No, the fuck we didn't. We defeated El Senor with the power of friendship. No, the fuck we didn't. We defeated Red and Shogun with the power of friendship. Again, no, the fuck we didn't. Like, do I need to continue this list? This is a retarded comment.
Oh, speaking of harem... It's an anime gacha game. You have to expect fan service. Okay, I know that. But Genshin used to be different from other games in its genre, and I mean that genuinely. There used to be a much better ratio of female to male 5-star characters than many other gacha games, because so many gacha games are targeted at male audiences who aren't perceived as being interested in the male characters. And there were sexy character outfits, especially on the women, lots of detached sleeves, short skirts, also known as the coochie flap, thigh-high socks, or boots. But they were nowhere near as bad as they are now. These women are nearly naked now. And not only does that make me mad and uncomfortable...
You mean the one character out of all the characters from Nodcry? The female characters of Nodcry? Are we fucking serious? I'm sorry. I'm going to have major pushback against this. I'm sorry. I'm just saying.
From a standpoint of being a woman who feels objectified just by looking at these designs.
Oh my fucking god. I can't take this shit seriously. I can't. I fucking can't. I can't. I'm sorry. I'm cringing so fucking hard listening to this. You feel objectified looking at fucking drawings of female characters with showing skin? This sounds like some mental ill shit right now. I'm sorry.
Designs, but also
actually, I'm not sorry.
From a character design standpoint, I have quite a bit to say about the sharp drop-off in not only the quality of the Genshin character designs, but also in the tastefulness of them. To show you what
I'm tired of hearing about this whole there's tasteful and there's not tasteful fan service. Fuck it. Fan service is fan service, regardless how tasteful or untasteful it is. This is like saying, oh, Kill la Kill's fan service is untasteful. And it's like, no, this is what fan service is, blatantly. Fan service has levels to it. But it's not separated between tasteful and distasteful fan service. No. It's just fan service and how much is going to be shown versus how much will be shown. Or how much it will be shown or how much won't be shown. Or what is the scenario in question that will lead to said fan service scene happening.
You what I mean, we can talk about some early Genshin designs to compare them to more recent ones. I think it's important to discuss the physical elements of these characters first before we discuss the fan service elements of their presentation, writing, and personalities, because the physical appearance is the most obvious element, but I promise we will get to the other stuff in due time. Also keep in mind that I'm only going to be talking about female characters because most of the time, the male characters are almost always covered from chin to toe now, aka the fan service is not equal opportunity. One of the first characters I'll mention is Lisa, one of the very first...
It doesn't need to be equal opportunity. I'm gonna say that. It doesn't need to be.
Anime fan servicey characters that we're introduced.
If you gave me a ratio between male to females who play Genshin Impact, without a shadow of doubt, I will find more males play this game than women do. Love and Deep Space exists for a reason, because guess what? The female audience is playing that game, and it's made for the female audience entirely. Genshin, you can argue, is a mixed bag since they're trying to appeal to everyone, but their core main player base, without a shadow of doubt, are the male players, especially from the Chinese player base.
Introduced to in the game. She teases the traveler, she calls them cutie, and she's averse to doing any sort of work. Her character design communicates so much about her, though, nonetheless. Her hairstyle, which is very loose and almost looks like it's falling out on one side, shows us that lazy element of her personality. Her purple, black, and gold color palette obviously communicates her element of electro, but also a sense of importance, luxuriousness, and magic. Her classically styled witch hat also conveys the latter, of course. Yae Miko is similar to Lisa in terms of teasing personality, although Miko can get a bit more cruel and self-indulgent with it. She has a sharper eye shape than Lisa's gentle round eyes to indicate this part of her personality. Her outfit is also a stylized version of a traditional Japanese shrine maiden outfit, giving her the required amount of gacha game sexiness while also showing her spiritual importance in Inazuma. Her design being more complicated than the other shrine maidens also signifies that her role is the most important of all of them. Her hair is the color of a sakura blossom.
I'm gonna say this right now. If we get to the point where we're talking about some llama's character design does not fit and match the Frost Moon Scions and shit, I will literally search up tribal women in their ritual of fucking outfits and shit. And if I promise you this, if I see anything akin to showing any type of skin, it's just going to disprove the entire complaint about llama's character design and throw it to the fucking water.
And she has cherry blossom motifs in her clothing, again emphasizing her Japanese inspiration, but also her connection to the sacred sakura of Inazuma, which is deeply connected with her element of electro. Xinyan is one of my favorite Liyuan character designs because it combines traditional elements of Chinese clothing styles with Xinyan's rock aesthetic, so you immediately know by looking at her what she represents. Xinyan wears lots of dark colors, spikes, and fishnet, features common in punk or alternative clothing styles. All of this is accented by red and orange, obviously representing her pyro vision, but also her passionate and fiery personality. Her hair even looks like it's glowing from the inside, which I always thought was such a cool detail. However, Xinyan also has some very subtle nods to her Liyuan culture. So while she mostly represents a counterculture in Liyue, she still maintains cohesion with the other character designs in her region. The last of the older character designs that I'm going to touch on is Navia's, probably my favorite Fontanian design personally. This design is is basically a sluttier version of a traditional French aristocratic gown, but it still covers most of her body. Navia's design exudes wealth. It is full of ruffles and jewels. She has these big, billowy curls. She's got this big hat decorated with feathers. She brings along a frilly parasol. She also maintains connection to her hometown of Poisson with these ship wheels on her hips, as well as the canon theming of her elemental burst. Navia is also a very cheerful character, which her yellow color palette communicates, and she also has got these cute sparkles in her eyes that show that. As you can see, these designs are not only pretty tasteful in terms of gacha character designs, but they also do their job.
People who say tasteful character designs are people who hate fan service.
They communicate information about the character, even if you knew nothing about them to begin with. This is what makes a good character design, and it is ironically what many character designs in modern Genshin fail to do. Not only that, but they also get more and more boring and more insulting as time goes on.
Insulting to who?
So let's take a walk.
People who are sensitive to the fact that sexy female characters exist.
Through them, shall we? This ought to be fun. One of my least favorite recent characters is Citlali. Again, I know, a fan favorite, but I'm sorry, I do not like her. Her design certainly isn't the most offensive of the Natlan ones. I just find her annoying. I do think her English VA is very good at their job and that they do a great job with Citlali's voice, but I really just don't like the character's writing. We will talk about that in a bit. One of the things I dislike about
I disagree with that.
Her design, though, is this goddamn leotard that she's wearing. This girl is literally wearing a thong. This sweater thing would go right up her butt crack.
She's wearing shorts underneath that, by the way.
Cannot stand.
So if anything, those shorts are covering her ass.
And stuff like this. Also, side note real quick, I have to pause to talk about the state of Genshin character trailers. Can we talk about how these videos used to be actual showcases of the characters' combat abilities with like little elements of story sprinkled in? Ones that strike this balance well, in my opinion, are Nahida's trailer, Farina's trailer, and Arlecchino's trailer. But now, character trailers are either, 1, headache-inducing fan edits with these wildly inappropriate aesthetic choices, like Nefer's trailer or Citlali's, or 2...
What's inappropriate about the trailers exactly? Can you please explain what you mean by inappropriate? Or are we just being like inappropriate for children?
Wildly inappropriate aesthetic choices like Nefer's trailer or Citlali's, or 2, music videos that make me feel like I'm going to implode from cringing, like Shilonen or Mawika's trailer. At most,
that shit was a year ago.
These ones show the elemental burst animation. It doesn't tell you anything about what it's like to actually play the character in the video game that I'm supposed to be pulling for them in. Tell me how that's supposed to give me a good impression of these characters. Anyway.
I'll give some nuance to that. Yeah, some of the most recent character trailers, not the ones that come out this year, but last year, were like, how am I supposed to glean anything from the character from this? See, Lali, you could easily glean from what exactly is her personality and what her character is like, and how she's like as a person from her trailer. I don't know how you could possibly miss that, but okay.
Tell me how that's supposed to give me a good impression of these characters. Anyway, back to Citlali's outfit. It's the same thing with Mawika. Her design features a zipper that goes all the way around between her legs up to her back. That can't be comfortable. Between her legs up to her back.
I already gave my criticism about Mawika's character design, so there's that.
That can't be comfortable, right? Especially riding a motorcycle. And also, what exactly does this design communicate about Mawika other than being a biker? Yeah, I guess she's got sun imagery to represent her Archon hood, but to me, her hair is the only thing about her design that gives me Pyro Archon. But then, all of that still goes away when she fights and her hair lights up. And then we have Veresa. I was really excited about this design when I saw the silhouette in that same teaser we were talking about earlier. Oh my gosh, a girl that's a cow. Oh my god, that's gonna be so cute. I love these braids and the big horns. I mean, I wonder what kind of color palette she'll have. Maybe like browns and greens, something earthy because she's a farm animal. Oh. Yeah, I mean, I guess that works too. Just kidding. I hate this design. One of my least favorites in the entire
One of my most favorite
game. I just like, what was the point, dude? Why is she so like kawaii themed? She's got hearts and bows everywhere. She wears leg warmers. And
you're asking her why is she kawaii themed, yet we didn't learn much about her and who she is in the Archon quest. So you're kind of shocked by this? Ma'am, she wasn't even in the Archon quest to even learn anything about her, to even suggest that she's anything but what they show off in her character design. What are we doing?
And a cardigan. The skirt is pointless because it's too short to cover her ass. You expect me to believe that this is a lucha libre fighter? I know that luchadoras often dress in similar silhouettes to Veresa's outfit.
Okay, so you know that, yet you still have a problem with it. And you're still being like, oh, it doesn't make sense. Despite the fact you're literally showing me images on screen of these ladies wearing short skirts that without a shot without will flip up as they're trying to body bag other women in the ring and show me their ass.
But they didn't incorporate any elements of the culture that Veresa is inspired by, or the one that her name comes from. There are plenty of lucha libre fighters who incorporate elements of their culture into their costumes. They could have gotten really creative with it, but it's not like it even matters because we never even get to see her fight like a luchadora in the game. It's all just the food bullshit and falling on her ass all the time.
Are you not going to show her gameplay when you enter her enhanced state, when she actually does fight like a lucha libre? Are you going to mention how in lore her mask that she has, that she made for herself, is really based off of the hero that her ancient name is from? Are we not going to mention those things, or
it's especially,
are we not going to show those things too? Are we not?
Frustrating because the animators have been getting really creative.
Oh, look, she even put this edit here. There we go. Let's read. I realize that these are lucha libre moves, but I'm talking more about quest appearances here.
Her ass all the time. It's especially frustrating because the animators have been getting really creative with the normal attack animations lately. They could have gone crazy with her and made her do insane moves, something like this. Like I said earlier, I was interested too in Escoffier's design based on the silhouette, but I was also very disappointed with this reveal. Not only does this outfit make no sense with regards to breaking up any colors or with this weird heart theming that she has, similar to Veresa. Again, I don't know why they keep doing this, but
probably her love for food.
Her outfit is literally just the sexy chef Halloween costume. She's wearing an apron with nothing underneath it. Not only is that insulting, but it's boring and it's lazy.
Insulting to who? To the ladies who want to complain about it? More than likely. But to everybody else, they're not complaining.
With nothing underneath it. Not only is that insulting, but it's boring and it's lazy. You guys literally couldn't bother to design a shirt for her to wear under this apron. They would just rather put more effort into the detailing on her fucking stockings than design her a shirt. Skirk makes me mad in a similar way because they literally took an already very revealing outfit and made her more naked when she made the transition from NPC to playable.
No, they didn't. Sorry, you're incorrect. They didn't make her more naked. She's showing the same amount of skin that she showed when we first saw her in the game.
Character. Lauma is one of the ones that makes me the saddest because I actually really love the way that she's written in the narrative. Her voice acting is so beautiful and gentle, and I find her quiet strength to be really, really compelling. It just sucks because she would be perfect if she wasn't almost naked. For Lauma, I don't feel hatred like I do for Veresa because Lauma has good writing to make up for her design. I just feel bad for her. Like, oh my god, you poor woman. You're probably so cold and uncomfortable.
Again, we're doing this whole bullshit about, oh my god, you live in this place that's so freaking freezing. But if you look around the Frostmoon Scions, these niggas are not living in some ultra freezing temperatures. It's tame weather. Literally. Niggas are acting like the entirety of fucking Nodcry is covered in ice. It's fucking not. Let's not sit here and do that shit. Again, this is that same bullshit that I'm hearing people bitch about the most recent character designs from Snezhnaya, being like, oh my god, I can't believe these characters aren't wearing thick-ass jackets from top to bottom. When it's like, first of all, most of these niggas are inside buildings. It's clearly warm enough for them not to be wearing some thick-ass jackets. They're dressed decently for the weather.
All the time. Actually, she's named after a creature from Baltic folklore that's traditionally depicted as a nude woman. That is literally just another excuse to make a woman with large breasts.
No. Sorry, we're not doing that. I'm sorry. We are not doing that. I fucking called that you were going to do that shit before we even got here. And I was going to have to pull up an image. No, we're not doing that. I'm sorry. You cannot dismiss this to be like, oh, the character design is bad. You can't. Sorry. It's just not happening. You wanted a lore, you wanted a reference. No, because your whole complaint about Verissa was the fact that the cultural reference that she has going on is not emphasized enough in her character design. But when Llama is her cultural reference or whatever the fuck is emphasized in her character design, literally, let's read this. Llama. In Baltic folklore, a fairy who appears as a beautiful naked maiden with long, fair hair. Llamas dwell in the forest near waters or stones, aka frost, moon, scions, location where they live at, yearning for children, but being unable to give birth. They often kidnap babies to raise as their own. This sounds more like the Fae in Genshin. Sometimes they marry young men and become excellent wives, perfectly skilled in all domestic work. They are noted as swift spinners and weavers, aka they probably make clothes. When they spin on Thursday evenings and laundry after sunset on the other days, no mortal woman is allowed to do the same. Llamas are very temperamental. They are benevolent, motherly beings, as Llama has shown to be, helpful to orphans and poor girls, but are extremely vindictive when angered, particularly by disrespectful men. AKA, sound like a woman that's worth respecting. But as you saw what she just did, right? She bitched about Verissa's character design not having enough of the cultural reference. But when Llama is revealed to be directly that, it's a problem. Make it make sense. You either care about this or you're just flip-flopping on what you want to bitch about.
It's traditionally depicted as a nude woman. That is literally just another excuse to make a woman...
You can't call it an excuse when it's basically blatant fact. That's not an excuse.
With large breasts, walk around with a single piece of cloth covering her ass. You can't convince me that Llama isn't meant to be sexualized by the game when she makes this face while bound by Rayrir. Finally, we have Nefer.
That one scene out of every scene that she's been in that you have to literally extrapolate to the nth degree to be like, oh, they sexualize her in this scene.
Now, I don't really hate this design necessarily. I actually really like the top of it. Her hairstyle is really cool. I love the cape and the vibrant gold and green colors. But it's just another design in this long pattern of just giving up on the legs of these female character designs. Not only does this white skirt completely blend into her insanely pale skin, but they also make no effort to give her some socks or stockings to balance out these colors or make the design more interesting. Like, I really love this fan design that not only gives her a darker skirt, but also some snake pattern thigh-high socks.
Let's be so fucking for real. If they release this character design, niggas will still bitch about it. Let's be so fucking honest. Let's not sit here and act like people will love this. No. The same complaining and bitching that I see you doing here with the fact that she doesn't have her legs covered, we're going to see that same amount of people bitching and complaining with her legs covered with this on. Let's just be so fucking for real right now. That's why I don't take this complaint about this character design serious. Or I don't believe it's worth the criticism. Or even worth the breath.
Wish that they had leaned into her snake theming more, as a side note. But alas, it's always the same. A super detailed design from the waist up, and absolutely nothing except maybe a thigh garter on the legs. Again, Columbina falls into this too. She wears this super detailed, tiny dress, one that's so short it makes her legs look obscenely long like a spider. And then she doesn't even wear shoes, just these fuck-ass water orb heels because they couldn't bear to let a woman walk flat on her feet. And the way that...
What's the problem? Oh my god. God forbid they let a female character have unique shoes. Unique heels. God forbid, right? I swear, these people who claim to be fucking feminists and then, I ain't about to get into that. Nope.
These women are drawn sometimes is so stupid too. Even the character designs that I consider to be better than these suffer from the fan service. Even though I wish her skirt was longer to add some variety to the designs, I really like Mizuki's design, but she literally shows her butt to the camera during her burst and in her official art. In fact, Hoyo only draws these characters in impossible poses more and more for the sake of making them more goonable. Literally, Mizuki is posed so you can somehow see her underboob and butt at the same time. They do the same thing with Mawika. Her back is arched so heavily just so that they can display both her cleavage and her ass. Veresa's also the same, plus she's making that face like, oh, you caught me, and I have food all over my face, oh no! Oh my god. I hated saying that out loud. And see, Lali is literally squishing her chest so heavily with, what? A stuffed animal?
I'm gonna say this right now. Bro, ain't nobody would have noticed this shit without it being pointed out. So for the vast majority of people, they didn't even see these or even viewed it like this. I don't even view this as sexual. I just view her just posing. Like, does every pose that a woman does, we have to view it under the lens of it being sexual? I'm just saying.
A pillow. That is not how this part of the body works. This is only one of the anime fan service tropes that Genshin has increasingly leaned into over time. As the game progresses, we only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type. Oh my god. It's over, guys. We only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type. Oh my god.
Character archetype.
I can't fucking say this. As the game progresses, we only get more and more characters that fit the tsundere character type, which I personally find annoying. Citlali and Sandrone are the biggest examples of this, but I would also argue that Escoffier falls into this trope sometimes. Somewhat related is the increasing number of characters who have very obvious crushes or similar devotion to the Traveler, all of whom seem to be women, ironically. Ayaka was a big one early on, but since then we've had Mizuki blushing around the Traveler, and the game purposefully putting her into situations in which were meant to like cutely embarrass her. It's clearly meant to have a teasing romantic tone to it. Similarly,
I have not played this, so I can't say anything about that one.
Citlali has a big crush on the Traveler, made evident by being portrayed like this in her Valentine's Day art, and by all the times the game has given us very convenient plot-related ways to read each other's thoughts. Dude, this shit is painful to play.
I disagree. Maybe because I'm a man, I disagree with this entirely. So I'm going to speak about Citlali. Citlali is a character that not many other characters can relate to, and the only other person that could relate to her is the Traveler. That's what made their relationship actually feel like, yo, this is a genuine character relationship, because the Traveler has been around for 500 years, if not longer than that, and Citlali has been around for that amount of time. And on top of that, a big theme about her story quest, or at least the tribal quest, was the fact that she's outlived her friends and shit like that. But the Traveler will be one of the rare few friends that she will have that will still be around after another 500 years flies by, because she stays cooped up in that fucking room all day. And I think I'm pretty sure the reason she stayed cooped up in her room was because of the loss of her friend.
And then most recently we've had Columbina, who again has only one true friend in the Traveler, and she cutely hides behind.
No, they disproved that, being that the Traveler was their only friend when they literally revealed that Sandrone and Columbina were their friend. Sandrone and Arlecchino was Columbina's friend. So no, that's not true.
Behind you, and you get to feed her. Again, these are all very romance-coded behaviors. The Traveler is literally represented as her savior and dance partner in her trailer. It is a pattern at this point. Can we please let women have more interesting relationships with the main character than being their shy waifu all the time? And again,
did they not do that? Because I can't remember plenty of instances when we have done that. Why are we acting like this is every female character that comes out of the fucking game? This is some dishonest framing. Because another thing too, you notice the examples she chose. All these characters of these examples that she's chosen are years apart from each other. This is not some back to back every version update. This is every fucking other year. Once in a fucking blue moon type ass shit. Why are we acting like this is every female character that comes out? Why? Why are we being so blatantly dishonest about this?
And again, this fan service is never equal opportunity. The male characters never get to have interactions or relationships like this with the player. Why not? We also have character specific.
You want to know why? Because Traveler, aka the male Traveler, is the main character of the game. He is in every promotional material of the game. People like to say, well, Hoyoverse, well, actually both characters are the main characters. Yeah, because Hoyoverse wanted people to be able to play as the female Traveler as well. Duh. And another thing too, again, back to what I mentioned earlier about the CCP thing. Yeah, so let's say this. Let's say if they do make instances like this that feel like romantic coded when it comes down to, guess what? If you played as the male character, male Traveler, or Aether, and you're having some romantic coded scene with another male character, unfortunately for you, the CCP is not going to allow for that in the game because, as I searched up earlier, the CCP, again, does not want that depicted in their games, as I showed earlier. Right? So that's more than a reason why we don't have male characters having any type of sexualization or any type of romantic-esque scenes with either Lumine or Aether, because it will lead into what they don't want in their game, aka visual restrictions. Right here. This is it. More than likely the reason why. Now, I'm not saying that's either a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying that's just the more than likely the realistic reason for why that's not the case. Why they won't do
Specific
that.
tropes. Veresa, I'm getting to you now. She was tailor-made for the feeder fetish. I kid you not, in one of her trailers, they animate food going into her stomach, and her stomach, like, jiggles and stuff, and oh my god. It is genuinely one of the most sickening and uncomfortable things I have seen.
I ain't gonna lie, you have to be reading so hard into that to view it like that. I'd never viewed it as such. I was like, oh my goodness, it's so sexy seeing her eat. Like, bro, I've never seen it as such. If anything, I saw it as cute. Because she's a girl that loves to, like, eat. That's a trope.
Scene coming out of this company. Her entire thing is eating comically large amounts of food. She has nothing else that matters to her character, to her personality, or anything.
That's not true. If you play her fucking Tribal Kiss, you will know that she most definitely has more than just eating. Eating comically large amount of the food is a signature to her character, but that's not the sole defining trait of her character.
About her. It's not like this would necessarily be bad on its own, but guys, she is literally a cow. This character is extremely insulting, and I hate her. And that's not even mentioning how she literally fights by falling on her ass. When you are playing her, she will fall and her ass will be facing the camera for multiple seconds before she gets up. And your eye is naturally drawn there because of her bright pink tail against her black skirt. And then when she gets up, she'll like dust herself off and be like, "Owie, that hurt. Shut up!" Ugh.
Sorry, I'm cringing listening to these complaints. I do not view these complaints as valid.
And then we've got Nefer and her whole, like, clones thing. And
what's the problem with, oh my god, at this point, just tell me you hate fan service. Or you just hate anything akin to it. Just tell me that you just hate that shit.
Clones are like her servants, and she poses with them in sexually charged ways. Like she's holding this one's face, and...
Yeah, because she's a Findom? Pretty sure that's what she is. Or is that what it is? Or she's a very dominating woman. And she has shown that to be the case both in the story and in her character trailers. So it's pretty consistent writing.
This one is laying in her lap. Like, I don't have to like spell out the way that this is incredibly fetishistic, right? I mean, Nefer...
Sorry, I'm cringing. I'm sorry, because from what I'm getting from this is just like blatant feminist yapping talking points that's just like blah 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 blah. Because I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be honest with you. I am so tired of hearing that shit complaints in a medium where the target audience has always been the men, and then being surprised that they're creating said characters with these elements to them. It's like, ma'am, did you not realize what you were walking into, or am I tripping? This is like walking into Zenless Zone Zero and being shocked about the sexualization of the female characters in that game. This is what this is. Or just any gacha game in general. Now, not every gacha game is like sexy fan service game. Like, obviously, Cookie Run Kingdom, I don't see nothing sexy about that game at all. It's clearly meant to just be a fun game that's like have no sexualization in it. But other gacha games that do have it, and they made it a point. Genshin always had fan service in it. It just the level at which the fan service used wasn't in abundance in comparison to the recent years of like what last 2 years from Natlan to now, or at least a year and some change.
Literally does the stripper crawl across the table toward the camera in her trailer. She's meant to give femdom, and I mean, like, the clones basically serve no purpose to her theming as a character. I think they could have taken them out of her whole thing and it wouldn't have made a difference to her kit or to her gimmicks. They literally only did it because they knew people would drool over it. Editing Aurelia here. In the process of making this video, Linnea has been released, and I just have to interject to say, what the fuck were they thinking with this character? I feel like a crazy person because I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't think she's adorable and in fact recognizes her for the creepy freak that she is. First of all, she clearly has absolutely no respect for living things that are not traditionally human. She keeps asking to touch and pet the Melusines as if they are not whole people. It's especially creepy because the Melusines are made to look like children. Having an adult character who is high.
Oh my god, are we really about to see her in a proclaimed pedophilia? Are we really doing? Oh my fucking goodness, I can't take this shit seriously. I can't. I fucking can't. I fucking can't take it seriously. I can't. I'm sorry. Good Lord in heaven, what the fuck am I listening to?
High-key obsessed with them and can't treat them as the people they are was a fucked up move on Hoyo's part. They literally make a point to emphasize the humanity of the Melusines and how they had to fight to be accepted in Fontanian society, and now we have a playable character who we are supposed to think is cute, harassing them and treating them as though they are pets. It's disgusting. Her trailer is sickening for the same reason. She fantasizes about being rubbed up on by Siegeween, who, again, looks like a child.
Oh my god, are we doing this shit again? I'm sorry, if this goes to the lolly conversation, you already know what the fuck I'm about to get into and what I will say about that.
And
looks like a child is not the same as being a child.
Kirida, along with other Melusines and Nekomata. It reads as extremely fetishistic to me, which is a problem when the people that she's fantasizing about look like children. She chases these people around and doesn't seem to let up after being told multiple times to back off. There are multiple promotional materials in which she asks to touch a Melusine, which makes me think that it's happened more than once or twice. I mean, at least her character quest wasn't as bad. I won't spoil it, obviously, because I said I wouldn't talk about content past Luna 5, but I still don't find this character appealing or compelling at all, as I feel like I've made it very clear.
The only way I see Linnea's thing, or that's her like touching things that she's very curious about, because I'm pretty sure, isn't she like an ecological surveyor or something like that, right? So I'm not surprised by her curiosity of these things and being drawn to cute things. She finds Mesaline and Kirara cute, clearly. She even finds Paimon cute, which is what, obviously. Like, I honestly think you have to purposely be looking for something, how can I say this, absolutely villainous and egregious from a character to paint them in such a way to make them seem like they're a pedophile. You'd have to really be stretching it, and that's what it's coming off to me when I hear this.
I still don't find this character appealing or compelling at all, as I feel like I've made it very clear. She doesn't even have an interesting design to make up for it. She's literally just a copy-paste of Charlotte. Even the wish art is the same.
The wish are the same because they have their hand in the air? Are we serious? No way you're sitting here saying this is the exact same one-to-one. I can't take this serious.
I haven't felt such a burning hatred for a character in a long time. Hoyoverse had the opportunity to portray Linnea as a character with a disability that made it difficult for her to fit in, because that was largely the reason the myth of changelings arose in the first place. The fairies were thought to swap their fae children for a human child, which was how several mythologies explained neurodivergence in children. Instead of portraying a really heartwarming story about a character who's autism coded, we instead get a freak who can't stop harassing anyone with non-human features. Ironic, considering how they want to portray her as an outcast who had no friends because she was a fae who looked different. Also, can we talk about how her lore makes no sense because the Tsaritsa and the Fatui are meant to be hunting down fae and eradicating them? Hence why Flynn's hides his identity. But it's just completely fine that Linnea is outwardly a fae, perhaps even more obviously so than Flynn's because she doesn't cover the wings on her head or her crystal markings. Whatever. I really hope people open their eyes to how terrible this character is.
Hold on. Wait, where in this information is it saying that the Fae are being hunted by the Tsaritsa? Where in the information is being said that? Because I'm not seeing it right here. Where is that information being told? Because this screenshot isn't showing nor proving that the Fae are being hunted down by the Tsaritsa at all. This just shows that the Fae are hiding their true identities for their own safety, and that's it. It's not saying anything about the Tsaritsa hunting down Fae. So I will need a clarification to that.
The Fae who looked different. Also, can we talk about how her lore makes no sense because the Tsaritsa and the Fatui are meant to be hunting down Fae and eradicating.
It's crazy that you say that, but then the clip this thing you show on my screen does not say anything about eradicating the Fae or hunting them down.
Eradicating them, hence why Flynn's hides his identity. But it's just completely fine.
Unless this is in Linnea's character story, then if so, I'll look into it and see otherwise.
Linnea is outwardly a fae, perhaps even more obviously so than Flynn's because she doesn't cover the wings on her head or her crystal markings. Whatever.
Actually, let me search this up now. God, this has been a lengthy ass video. Genshin Impact. Fae. Race. Search. Let's see what I can find here. What I'm seeing here says otherwise. The Snowland Fae, also known as Fae Spirits, Northland Fae, or simply Fae, are a device group of non-human supernatural beings native to Snezhnaya, originally created as servants for the Hyperboreans. After the civilization fell, the Fae were eventually unified by the first Pyro Archon, basically. Okay. With the Northlands, since his death, the Fae have mostly lost their original glory, but still ways of influence over the nation. Let's see. Lantern Fae Life Lands, for example. A ball of fire, some shape-shifting abilities. All people. Okay, hold up. So as I'm going through this, there is no mention of the Fae being hunted down by the Tsaritsa or eradicating them. There is nothing here that says that. Where did she get this information from? That's the Tsaritsa were hunting down the Fae and eradicating them. Where did she get this from? Flynn suggests that some of them have remained in Snezhograd due to an inability to adapt to warmer climates, but some are able to tolerate them. They can take foreign forms. National Town frequently mistake Paimon for being one, while they face in Narcray makes interference, though his children. Blah, 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 blah. They say most they keep their true identities a secret for their own safety. Few know Flynn's, while on the other hand, many know about Faye. Well, his Faye can also tame otherwise. Like blah 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 blah. Okay, let's keep reading. Okay, so I'm not seeing anything here on the Wiki fandom site that says anything about the Fae being hunted down by the Tsaritsa or being eradicated by the Tsaritsa, which is why they have to hide what they are. You know what? Let me be charitable. Let me be extremely charitable. Where's Flynn's? I'm going to click on Flynn's and hope to God that he has a character story that reveals this information to me about the Tsaritsa hunting down Fae and killing them. Because I need to see that. Okay, let's see. References. Game info. Fuck it. Shit, not that. I'm trying to which is give me profile. I need to know in what character story they even suggest or reveal this idea that the Tsaritsa is hunting down and killing Fae. Sorry, I'm just scrolling to see where is this proof at that the Tsaritsa is hunting down and killing Fae. Okay. Okay, there's nothing here suggesting anything about Tsaritsa hunting down the Fae. Okay. Oh, damn, he's in his 9 royalty. I did not know that was part of Flynn's background. That's interesting. Okay. Again, not seeing anything about the Tsaritsa trying to hunt down the Fae and eradicate them. I'm not seeing it. Bro, I ain't come across nothing that suggested that the Sarita is hunting down Faye. Again, was it from fucking and the other girl? Is that where the information comes from? That's the only thing that makes sense here. That the information comes from fucking homegirl. Because if this was true, I would have seen this be talked about around about fucking the Fae getting killed off or murked off. And that's why they hide their true identities and shit. But that's clearly not the case. Seriously, where is this thing suggesting the Fae are being killed off by Sarita? Surely I would have came across some information regarding the Fae at this point being eradicated. I don't see any information suggesting this at all. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's information that I'm missing. Someone can correct me.
I really hope people open their eyes to how terrible this character is. Sorry if you feel kinship with her. She is not cute. She is not funny. She has no appealing character traits, and there are far better characters out there.
Crazy to say that, but you don't miss in her character story where we see her more appealing traits.
Whose stories are about yearning for acceptance. Anyway, back to the video. Before we move on to the...
Her story was about her family, which was more of the core aspect of her character and wanting to live life.
Last part. I feel the need to debunk something I've heard both in this fandom and in other fandoms with regards to sexualized character designs. She should be able to wear whatever she wants. It's feminist to let women express themselves how they want. Listen, I choose to believe that this argument isn't made in bad faith. It's more like people who say this have good intentions, but they don't understand what it is that they're actually saying. Yes, it's true that women in real life should be able to choose what they wear. If they want to wear revealing clothing, that is completely their choice. However, these women are not real and do not have the autonomy that we do. They are purposefully manufactured to be bait for the male gaze. They are
and what's the problem with that?
Animated in revealing outfits and drawn in uncomfortable poses.
Uncomfortable poses that you think are uncomfortable.
And written into compromising situations on purpose.
Compromising? What's the compromising? She was being teased? That's the compromising? Because when you say compromising, I'm thinking something horrendous.
These developers have control over how these women are portrayed, and they choose to portray them increasingly as vessels for hypersexualization, fetishization, and fan service. That is not feminist. That's not to say that HoYoverse doesn't do this in their other games. Zenless Zone Zero comes to mind, but to me, at least, that game is honest about what it is, and it has been since the beginning. Boob physics and maid outfits and schoolgirl uniforms and all. At least over there, the fan service is a little more equally spread across the male and female characters.
It's really not.
Genshin Impact still pretends that it's this grand world of exploration it was 4 years ago, while its writing and characters suffer. Expect visual upgrades like you've never seen before, all while we refuse to visually upgrade older characters because who gives a shit about them, right? Or as we increase the shill for pay-to-win players, or for Miliastra Wonderland, which no one fucking asked for and no one cares about, and for hyper-specific gameplay
It says no one cares about it, but it's used in abundance.
Mechanics that are incredibly team limiting and rely on 2 or 3 limited characters to actually function, all while we continually
Valid complaint.
offer
That's a valid complaint. Hold on, let's go back because she said some things. Hold on.
Service is a little more equally spread across the male and female characters. Genshin Impact still pretends that it's this grand world of exploration it was 4 years ago, while its writing and characters suffer.
Its writing and the characters' writing have gotten better as time gone on. Now, do you have outliers in this? Yeah, sure. But to act like this is just has been the case ever since, was it, let's say, from Natlan to now, is dishonest. The writing has objectively gotten better.
Expect visual upgrades like you've never seen before.
Yeah, they said that was going to happen when we go to Snezhnaya. Interesting that we're going to take that out of context for what they said, because for the Snezhnaya to Snezhnaya in the future, which is literally labeled here.
All while we refuse to visually upgrade older characters because who gives a shit about them, right? Or as
we do not know what they're going to do with those characters yet. It has been leaked that those characters would be upgraded, but we have to wait and see when they're going to do that. More than likely, you know, when version 7.0 drops, where they said they were going to increase the visual quality of the game.
Or as we increase the shill for pay-to-win players, or for Miliastra Wonderland, which no one fucking asked for and no one cares.
Wait a minute. First of all, this character is not even in this team setup. That's kind of crazy. Where's the 4-star character known as shit? What was his name again? Dahlia? Yeah, he's Skirk's best in slot team member. So I don't know why he's not here on this list, but okay.
Win players, or for Miliastra Wonderland, which no one fucking asked for and no one cares about, and for hyper-specific gameplay mechanics.
Says no one cared about it, but again, like I said earlier, it's being used in mass, and people are making fun content out of it.
Mechanics that are incredibly team limiting and rely on 2 or 3 limited characters to actually function.
This is a valid complaint.
All while we continually offer less and less new map areas and free wishes each patch. I could go on forever.
That's not true. The whole getting less and less pulls per patch is so dishonestly not true. I bet she fell for that nonsensical bullshit that was being said not that long ago about how, oh, we were only getting 60 pulls in version 6.6, when it's like, no, we were getting 68 pulls, which is only just a little bit less than the 70 to 75 pulls we get per version update. I made a whole video talking about this. Literally. And again, that whole conversation is framed as free-to-play players are coming into every new version update with no pulls at all and only given 60 and then expected to use those 60 pulls to use on a character banner, which is just not fucking true in the slightest. Free-to-play players are not that fucking retarded that they're going to sit there and burn their pulls every fucking version update, especially when they know they don't have enough to guarantee that they'll get past the 50-50 or bypass hard pity or whatever the fuck, or reach it.
Forever about the state of this fucking game and how HoYoverse doesn't. I think that's enough of that for now. Let's move on. After all this complaining, people are probably thinking, it sounds like this game is causing you lots of undue stress. Maybe you should just quit and play something else. Look, maybe you don't get what it feels like to invest 5 years of your life into a game like this, with ever-expanding lore and new characters being introduced all the time. I guess maybe I didn't know what I was getting myself into at the time, back in 1.0 when I first started out. It sucks to invest so much of your time into a game only for it to let you down. I'm not gonna pretend that Genshin was perfect.
Let you down based on a lot of assumptions about shit rather than concrete evidence that was blatantly proven to be right. But instead, you had a bunch of assumptions that were blatantly proven to be wrong, and then being upset about that.
Back then. There are so many weird, like, cop-outs that Hoyo pulls so that they can have sensitive themes in their games, but not actually have them. Like Bennett saying that he has multiple dads, only for you to realize that it's because he's been raised by many older men in the Adventurers Guild, not because he has queer parents.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna let that fly. No, I'm not letting that fly. Bro, saying that he had multiple dads and revealing that the fact that he was raised in the Adventurers Guild is not some cop-out to sit here and be like, oh, they didn't want to give him gay parents. Like, what? Come on now, what are we doing? This lore was given to us year 1 of the game. Literally, year 1. This wasn't something that was done later on. This was year 1. God forbid a boy gets raised in a fucking group, in a fucking Adventurers Guild, where a bunch of men also resides at too, where you have father figures or masculine figures in his life. God forbid. Right? This is like complaining. Oh my God, this is like complaining that in Fairy Tail, you have a lot of the orphan children be raised by the guild members, which consists of both men and women, and then being complained about the fact that, oh, well, let's say if it's a guild full of females, right? Actually, there's one guild in Fairy Tail that's like full of women, right? And being like, oh my goodness, I'm upset that they didn't have the female characters that, you know, that raised him be gay. And it's like, what are we doing here? I'm eye rolling so fucking hard.
But the problems have only gotten worse with time. There are even more cop-outs, like Flynn's being a victim of suicidal ideation, but like, he actually just went sleepy for a really long time. Or like Nicole, who is mute in name only. She just talks in people's heads using her magic so Hoyo can pretend that they have a character with a disability. Or like,
I don't know if they were even going for a character with a disability. I don't even think that's what they were even intending to do. But yeah, sure, okay.
Nefer experiencing racism at the hands of the academia while having the palest skin you could possibly imagine.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I'm not letting that fly. I'm sorry. The moment you let that fly out your mouth, I'm sorry. I'm not letting that fly at all. Are you really about to sit here and say because she has fair skin that someone of fair skin cannot experience racism? I hope you're not sitting there saying that retarded ass shit. And this is coming from someone who is a Negro, for crying out loud. No way you're letting that fly out your mouth. When the whole thing of Nefer's story quest, was, or at least her section of the story, was the fact that she was from the desert. The people of the desert both have fair skin and brown skin in Sumeru. The people of the desert was looked down as less than in comparison to the people from the rainforest. And because she dressed nice, as you see her character design, she literally used it as a weapon to get her vengeance on the people that wiped out her family, or her father and her clan, or her tribe. I can't believe you sat there and let that shit fly out your mouth. I'm sorry. I thought I would be more like withholding of my words, but I just can't when I hear shit like that. This idea that people of fair skin, people who are white or a fair skin complexion cannot experience racism is stupid as shit.
Using her magic so Hoyo can pretend that they have a character with a disability. Or like Nefer experiencing racism at the hands of the academia while having the palest skin you could possibly imagine. Regarding gameplay,
I can't believe she really said that shit out her mouth. I can't believe she said that shit out her mouth. Despite the fact the racism that was in Sumeru had nothing to do with skin color. At all. It wasn't even founded on skin color. It was purely founded on where the people from the desert lived versus the people from the rainforest. And the people from the rainforest viewing themselves as superior in comparison to the people from the desert. Because of like them having more knowledge and having their god of wisdom, as opposed to the people of Sumeru or people of the desert who had a collapsed civilization and barely any remains of any type of golden wisdom. Granted, it was revealed later that such golden wisdom still exists to this day and is being preserved actively. But at the point in time, it wasn't seen as that. Like, it was a clash between King Deshret's followers and the people who followed Rukkhadevata type shit. And it's like, it wasn't even founded on because of brown or fair skin. It was purely because of location where you lived at in Sumeru. Like, what are we doing? to sit here and be like, oh, she didn't experience racism when she blatantly did. And even tried to I can't believe this person really just made me get into this conversation about race. Goodness gracious. I fucking hate this shit.
As I said, the shill for current characters has only gotten worse with time, with boss enemies made specifically to be defeated by certain limited characters. Fontaine was the first region to introduce region-specific battle mechanics, Bond of Life and Pneumosia, but it wasn't so completely baked into the combat like Night Soul or Lunar Reactions are. You didn't need Bond of Life or Pneumosia to be anything in the game, but the Lord of Eroded Primal Fire weekly boss requires a character who can apply Night Soul damage. The Game Before the Gate is built for quick application of the Frozen reaction, which is the specialty of Skirk and Escoffier. It's unfair to people who aren't looking to pull every single character, like me, because I only pull characters I like, or...
Okay, that's fine for you, but they made that content clearly for people who care about meta and for the game. So this is a casual player complaining about the meta of the game being tailor-made, and rather, you know, giving avenue for people who care about the meta for the game. Which is crazy to think about.
Or free-to-play people who aren't looking to spend what could easily be hundreds of dollars on filling out their 5-star roster. Also like me, because I don't have that kind of disposable income.
That's fine. Save your pulls and use them responsibly and properly. Do not burn your pulls every version update like a fucking idiot.
Seeing Flynn's in that Nodcry teaser was a lifesaver for me. Holy shit, a beautiful 5-star man with a mysterious backstory who's actually part of the meta. And oh my god, Lowen too. That face card is diabolical. It's been so long since I've been excited about characters like this. Most of the time...
You mean excited for male characters?
Now I'm just like, well, Nicole's not my favorite, but I guess I'll pull for her in the future if I have no other characters I want. Or, well, Lauma's design is pretty terrible, but I like her personality a lot. I guess I could get her if I have enough extra Primo Gems. So yeah, that's a lot of flaws. But guess what, guys? Hoyoverse fucking got me. Almost 6 years ago now, Hoyoverse wormed its way into my brain and put my mind in a Genshin Impact shaped chokehold. At this point, I have so many mixed emotions about this game and its fan base. I love the beautiful fan art I see every day. I love the sense of humor that so many of these fans have. I love some of these characters so much, and thinking about them is so much fun. But sometimes I feel like the only sane person in any given comment section on the internet. Like, I'm the only person who sees this game for what it has become. People just refuse to be critical of this game despite enjoying it and knowing.
It's not that they refuse to be critical. Now, there are some people who do refuse to be critical. But at the same time, there's a lot of bullshit being lied about this game every damn day. So don't be surprised when people are like dismissive of a lot of these quote unquote criticisms.
Knowing what it could be. It's a fandom and a community that I sometimes feel like I don't belong to. Like I should have left it a long time ago, and yet I can't stop playing it. Maybe it's an addiction, or maybe it's FOMO thinking about the upcoming characters I want to get in the future. Maybe I find the gameplay engaging. But ultimately, I think for me, it comes down to wanting to see where this story ends up, even though it continues to disappoint me the more that time goes on. I think Genshin set up a very strong emotional core with the missing sibling, and they strung us along just enough that I was invested, giving us hints of the sibling only a little at a time, all culminating in a quest called Bedtime Story a couple years ago, which is one of the only Genshin quests that's ever made me cry. I want to see the Traveler reunited with their twin at the end of this journey. I want to explore Snezhnaya and Conria. Even though Alice's design ended up being a little copy-paste, I adore her, and I want to pull her and put her in a team with Klee and Durin. I want to see Dainsleif become playable and hopefully introduce a new element into the gameplay. Who knows? Maybe Genshin will continue to disappoint me. Maybe there are no good villains left to meet, and maybe a playable woman in a freezing cold climate will be wearing a bikini. I'm still gonna be pissed about that. But it's quests like Durin's story quest, a beautiful tale of the devotion of motherhood and learning to make your own way in life, that give me very cautious optimism. I know that Hoyo is capable of amazing storytelling. That's what makes it so frustrating every time this game lets me down. But Hoyo, you've still got me for a while. Nice going, you made me addicted to your game, but the good stuff is what makes me want to stick around for a while.
Yeah, that's fair.
Even if it's only to watch my favorite little guys run around in my screen.
Okay, the video ended. Whew. Hold up. How long have we been going for this reaction for? Oh my god, it's been 3 hours and 44 minutes. Good lord. I did not intend for this reaction to be this long. At all. That was not my intention, but it ended up being this case. I must have had so much energy after getting off this long shift at work to then yap about this video, because I had a lot to say. So forgive me, but oh my god. I'm going to go ahead and end this reaction now, because there's nothing more for me to say that I haven't already said. If there's something else I need to say, I'll say it in the comments just below. But I got to end this fucking reaction, because I got to go to bed, because I got to be up work early in the morning. So forgive me. Y'all know what to do, the usual. Like, sub, check out the YouTube community Discord if you want. Check out my yapping topics and yapping reaction playlist as well. I stream gacha games and non-gacha games here on my YouTube channel, so check those out if you want to. Good lord. I had some choice words for this video. Very choice words. I think it started off rather calm, but the moment we got to that Columbina section of the video, that's when I lost my shit. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all. Anyway, this is KallaTheYapper signing out. Y'all tell me how y'all feel about this video in the comment section below. If anything she said was valid, or if it was just blatant bullshit for the sake of it, or just nonsensical things to complain about. Y'all tell me in the comments below. Y'all even tell me if I'm wrong for the way I reacted to this video and my points of view that I had for this video. Y'all can go ahead and tell me that too in the comment section. Anyway, this is KallaTheYapper signing out. I'll see y'all in the next video. Good lord. Stay blessed. Good night and peace.